Chapter 15-14. It's really you. Zhu Xing was dumbfounded. He looked at Su Yan and muttered, "You're still alive. The heavens have played a huge joke on us." Su Yan sighed. He and the ancestral hall were mortal enemies in the past. Now that he saw Zhu Xing, Su Yan had mixed feelings. The grudges of the past vanished with the destruction of the ancestral hall. "Follow me. The Xian people have opened 3 secret treasure vaults here. I know their locations. Not only are there true immortal puppets, but there's also a huge amount of natural treasures. Just the immortal Dao stone alone weighs tens of thousands of kilograms." Zhu Xing became more and more excited. No matter what, Su Yan would leave some resources for him. He would not take everything for himself. Su Yan and Zhu Xing put their arms around each other's shoulders and approached the secret treasure vaults in the distance. In this world filled with war cries, the atmosphere suddenly became extremely silent. Many people were dumbfounded. They stared at Zhu Xing blankly, because their conversation just now had touched the depths of their souls. Some true immortals were in despair. They felt that their lives were gloomy and were even trembling. Who was Zhu Xing? Many people did not know. Some knew a little, but it was not comprehensive. To be exact, Zhu Xing had a thin bloodline of the Xian people. After all, the ancestral hall was built by the Xian people's experts. Some of his descendants were in the ancestral hall, and Zhu Xing was one of them. It was with this thin bloodline of the Xian people that Zhu Xing became famous and entered the Xian people. He was not considered a big shot among the vast Xian people. After all, the Xian people had a huge population of hundreds of millions. A small character would not attract attention. But no one expected something so ridiculous to happen. Zhu Xing turned traitor. Big Brother is indeed Big Brother. He's really awesome. He has people everywhere. Fan Jian muttered to himself. He was so impressed with Su Yan that he wanted to prostrate himself in front of him. He even suspected that Su Yan had let Zhu Xing mix in with the Xian people as a spy and deliver the fatal blow at the critical moment. Bastard! A shrill roar exploded. The angry roar of Immortal Brilliance City woke up the battlefield from its momentary silence. All the immortal cultivators gathered here roared into the sky, letting out furious roars. Bastard! Immortal Brilliance City almost went crazy. A traitor had appeared, directly bringing Su Yan to the Resource Land's secret treasury to collect the true immortal puppet. What a great humiliation! Xianming City's eyes were about to pop out of their socket. When had there ever been a traitor among the Xian people? However, all of this was happening right in front of their eyes. Even the Xian people and Su Yan had their arms around each other's shoulders. They were as close as brothers. This was simply insane. "Stop him, quick!" a true immortal warned. Once the treasury was plundered, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Xian people had occupied more than half of the resource land in the uncanny crafts sect. After half a year of digging and mining, they had only dug out a dozen true immortal puppets. Once this wealth fell into Su Yan's hands, the consequences would be unimaginable. Xianming City had already moved. He pounced toward the young Devil King and brandished a shining halberd, slashing toward him. However, Su Yan descended from the sky. With a stomp, he suppressed the entire void. His divine might was shocking. His long black hair draped over his shoulders. The stomp of his foot exuded a heaven-shaking power as it came down on Xianming City's head. Xianming City was furious. He was no ordinary person. His entire body erupted with brilliant divine light, accompanied by a vast rain of light of the great Tao. His entire person was burning like the sun of the immortal Tao. Su Yan's foot that was about to step down was quickly blocked. "Give me your life!" Xianming City roared. Xianming Qing roared in anger. However, before he could lift his foot, Su Yan's entire body surged with sword light. His body shone with golden light and turned into a peerless sword embryo. Together with his physical strength, he tore the sky apart. Sword body art! Su Yen let out a low roar as he activated this shocking sword technique. Because his body was like an immortal sword. The moment it left his body, his offensive power soared by a large margin. Xianming City was shocked. He felt as if there was a cold, killing sword on his scalp that could cut him in half at any time. He was very decisive. He used a great divine ability to resist, but it was useless. Su Yan's feet erupted with 1,000,000 feet of sword light. It was too ferocious. The great divine ability collapsed in a single exchange, and the resplendent sword light slashed down. Impossible! The true immortals were terrified. What mystique was this? How could it be so powerful? Pfft! Xianming City coughed out a mouthful of blood. His body trembled violently. There was a bloody wound on his head. Blood flowed down, making his face unrecognizable. What mystique is this? Intense pain shot through his body. Xianming City's body felt like it was about to split apart. He lost his composure. The intelligence was wrong. There was a serious error in Xia Kunlun's combat power. With his combat power combined with his sword body art, how many people can withstand his attacks? Fan Jian thought to himself. Su Yan's combat power was getting more and more insane. His sword body art was enough to make Su Yan like a tiger that had grown wings. His offensive power was unparalleled. Xian people's false immortal. Guess how long you can live? Su Yan looked down at Xianming City. His words enraged the latter. He took out his shining halberd and said angrily, "Don't be so smug. This is just the beginning. I haven't lost yet." Boom! In an instant, Su Yan charged over. His fist rose up, radiating 1,000,000 feet of light. This was sword light. The sword body art was activated in his body. His body was like a sword diagram burning brightly as he charged at Xianming City. Move faster! Su Yan knew very well that the battle here had to end as soon as possible. Anything could go wrong if they delayed. They had to get rid of this group of people before the Xian people's army arrived. Alright. Fan Jian was also serious. Since they had already made their move, they had to kill them all to prevent the Xian people from settling the score later. Long Daesong let out a low roar. His mouth and nose spewed out true samadhi fire. The flames made even true immortals avoid them like snakes and scorpions. The flames burned the entire battlefield. More and more people died. Looks like something big happened in the Xian people's resource land. What should we do? What can we do? Let's just watch the show. The Xian people have taken over half of the uncanny craftsmanship sect's territory. The more people die, the better. We'll just wait and see. Maybe we can reap the benefits. In the distant world, many experts were watching the battle and watching the show. Although they didn't know what happened in the Xian people's resource land, anyone could see that the entire resource land was covered in blood. The smell of blood could even be felt here. One could only imagine how many people had died. On the other side, Zhu Xing and Su Yan were approaching one of the treasure vaults. On the way, Su Yan asked about their experiences. Zhu Xing and the others passed the strongest training ground together and came to the undying celestial domain. East Demon and the others were also here. They even brought with them a group of the strongest seeds of the undying celestial domain. Back then, we separated and went our separate ways to find our own opportunities. I don't know where Tensor and the others went. Zhu Xing sighed. He didn't expect Su Yan to still be alive. Thinking back, it really felt like a dream. Yuan and the others went their separate ways to find their own opportunities or join other immortal sects. They didn't have any contact with each other and didn't leave any messages. They were worried that their identities would be exposed and they would be wiped out by the Xian people. Zhu Xing guessed that Tai Baokai and the others must have come to the 10,000 tribe battlefield. After all, they had broken through to the immortal realm with their own efforts. As long as they had some opportunities, they could become experts on their own. At this moment, Su Yan was approaching the location of the treasure vault. Near a mountain, there were several Immortal Realm experts patrolling. They were all anxious. When one of them saw Zhu Xing, he immediately asked, "Zhu Xing, why are you here? What's going on up ahead?" They were ordered to guard the treasure vault and didn't dare to leave without orders. "It's nothing serious." Zhu Xing was calm. He said calmly, "Xia Kunlun is here." "What did you say?" The 4 great guards were doubting their lives. "Nothing serious? Xia Kunlun is here?" "Brothers, open the treasure vault. My big brother wants to take a look inside." Zhu Xing ordered again. "Are you crazy?" The guards were so shocked that they almost jumped up. They quickly noticed the young man in black beside him. He looked familiar, but they couldn't remember who he was. "You are," suddenly Su Yan closed in. He pulled out the golden sword embryo and slashed forward. "Young Demon King." The 4 great guards were terrified, but they couldn't survive at all. They were killed by the sword. And the sword embryo he wielded split the entire mountain open. There was another world in the mountain, and a treasure vault was opened. Su Yan's heart couldn't take it anymore. In the treasure vault there were 4 Immortal Realm puppets, a large number of natural treasures, and all sorts of rare immortal stones. There were even more than 30,000 kilograms of immortal Dao stones. Zhu Xing's eyes were red. It was more than he expected. The wealth here was no less than 200,000 immortal Dao stones. After all, immortal Dao realm puppets were very valuable. The 4 puppets were worth 100,000 to 200,000. "I'm rich." Su Yan was shocked. He waved his sleeves and took away all the wealth. Then they walked to the next treasure vault. One had to know that this was one of the best places of fortune in the 10,000 tribe battlefield. The Xian people had occupied this place for more than half a year and excavated many natural treasures. But Zhu Xing regretted that the immortal herbs were all taken away. Otherwise, the harvest would be ridiculous. Of course, Su Yan was most concerned about the immortal Dao realm puppet. If he took them away, it would be a heavy blow to the Xian people's power in the undying heavenly domain. The smell of blood in this resource mystic realm was getting thicker and thicker as time passed. A group of Xian people experts approaching the uncanny craftsmanship sect were about to reach their destination. They were full of anticipation, hoping for a great harvest. "Patriarch, we're almost there. Our resource land is just ahead." Among them, an old man in a black robe was in high spirits. 10 years had passed, and Xian Tyran's vitality had been replenished. He had also refined a powerful clone. Although it wasn't very valuable, the clone now had the strength of an immortal Dao expert. "I hope the heavenly craftsmanship furnace is a top-notch one." Xian Tyran chuckled. If they could really obtain a top-notch heavenly craftsmanship furnace, it would be of great significance to the Xian people. They might even be able to research a part of the strongest forging technique. "Haha, Patriarch, our tribe has gained a lot from this place of fortune. We've obtained more than 10 true immortal puppets. Who knows, there might be a peak true immortal puppet among them," a follower said excitedly. Xian Tyran nodded in satisfaction. Then he smiled coldly. "Overall, the harvest from the opening of the 10,000 tribe battlefield is more shocking than expected. Our tribe has also occupied 2 of the strongest seats. If Xian Ming City continues to grow, we'll have a chance to occupy the 3rd seat. But why can't we capture Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King?" He was startled and furious at the same time. These days, the young Devil King and the others had vanished into thin air without leaving any traces behind. This made the higher-ups of the immortal race extremely unhappy. If not for this matter, the immortal race's harvest would have been even greater. "Patriarch, don't worry. Our tribe has 2 supremes. If the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun dare to fight for the strongest seat, they'll be courting death. I'm just afraid they won't dare to make a move," a group of Xian people cultivators said coldly. The Xian people had 2 supremes and one was the Celestial Court, which had been destroyed 1,000,000 years ago. What resources could they have to nurture the strongest Ingjia? I'm just afraid they won't have the courage to stand out. Sien Tyran sneered. After this matter is settled, I'll personally take command. I'll try to capture all the remaining members of the Celestial Court before the top 10,000 contenders. Chapter 15:15. Sien Tyran was the patriarch of the Sien people. He had been famous for a very long time and had lived for a very long time. It was unknown how many patriarchs there were among the Sien people. However, there were not many patriarchs in charge, and Sien Tyran was one of them. During the battle in the Xianhuang universe, his Extreme Dao immortal metal clone was destroyed, and he suffered heavy losses. After more than 10 years of recuperation, he gradually recovered and even refined a new clone. However, this clone was nothing compared to the Extreme Dao immortal metal. The difference was like heaven and earth. Now, Sien Tyran's clone was here mainly for the heavenly smith furnace. One had to know that true immortals were prohibited from entering the 10,000 tribes battlefield. Sien Tyran's clone had only just entered the battlefield and had only just strengthened to the true immortal realm. Generally speaking, the patriarchs of the immortal sex would rarely send their clones here. After all, if they died in battle, their main body would also be severely injured. For experts of their realm, the opportunities that appeared in the 10,000 tribes battlefield were limited. There was no need for them to take the risk. There's the smell of blood. Sien Tyran's expression darkened as soon as he stepped into the area. He could smell the blood. The dozen or so cultivators who came with him patrolled the area and wondered, we didn't meet any of our clansmen along the way. Did something happen here? Or were they all gathered together to guard the heavenly smith furnace? It's possible. Someone nodded and said, Patriarch, since we're already here, I don't think there's a rush. There's a treasure vault in front of us. Patriarch, you can inspect it personally. There might really be a peak true immortal puppet. Let's go and take a look. Sien Tyran nodded slightly. A peak true immortal puppet. The significance was completely different. In the current 10,000 tribes battlefield, the major immortal sects had very limited resources like this. In fact, even if they had it, they could not unleash the puppet's full power. This kind of resource was very important to the immortal sects and would not be easily brought to the 10,000 tribes battlefield. When Sien Tyran approached the destination, his expression darkened. The door to the secret vault was wide open, but it was completely empty. There was nothing inside at all. What's going on? Sien Tyran frowned. No one could touch the treasure vault of any resource land without orders from the higher-ups of the Sien people. However, where did the treasures go? Patriarch, I reckon that the heavenly crafting furnace we found is an evolutionary type. It's very likely that it was transported into the heavenly crafting furnace to evolve into a puppet. Hearing this, Sien Tyran was shocked. If this was really the case, then the Sien people had really found a rare treasure. Even if the heavenly master furnace couldn't be transported back to the family, they could still evolve a large number of true immortal puppets in this precious land. But was it really possible? He had a feeling that something big had happened in this resource land. Let's go. Sien Tyran did not dare to linger, and he quickly rushed toward his destination. Along the way, the stench of blood grew heavier and heavier. Strangely, there was not a single expert guarding the territory. Did something happen? It doesn't make sense. Who dares to behave atrociously here? This is the resource secret realm of the Sien people. Even if the news of the heavenly craftsmanship furnace leaked out, who dares to attack the resource secret realm of the Sien people? The cultivator from the Sien people sounded agitated. Although he said that it was impossible, his expression became more and more unsightly. The deeper they went, the stronger the smell of blood became. In the end, they found many corpses lying in pools of blood. Some were charred black, some were cleaved by force, and some were shattered. In the world filled with blood-red light, the faces of the immortal tribe elites were extremely gloomy. What was going on? Just what had happened? The immortals had suffered such heavy casualties. Who was it? Who was it that had invaded the immortals? Bastard, where did everyone go? Who can tell me what's going on? Cien Tyran was furious. He had been counting the gains of the Cien people in the 10,000 tribe battlefield, and was proud of it. But now, the resource secret realm was filled with the stench of blood and corpses. It was a bloodbath. Cien Tyran was furious. After all, he was a perfected immortal. His divine might could shock the sun and moon. He tore apart the bloody world and emitted thunderous fury. He had a very bad feeling that something big might have happened. Are you old and blind? Can't you see the few of us here? Suddenly, a cold voice pierced through the blood-red world and rushed to the place filled with corpses. These words instantly infuriated all the immortal tribe cultivators. They were both shocked and furious. Who was speaking? They were definitely not from the celestial race. Could it be that this place had been taken over by experts from other races? Who's there? Cien Tyran's expression was cold. His eyes shone with divine light, which tore apart the bloody world and looked toward the heavenly smith furnace. But the Cien people who saw the scene were so gloomy that water was about to drip from their faces. Some were so angry that they almost shouted, because he saw a person kneeling on the ground. Although his face was unrecognizable, he could still recognize him. This was the top void immortal of the Cien people. He was the Cien people's top void immortal who was highly valued by the higher-ups of Cien Ming City. He was even a void immortal prodigy who had great hopes of becoming the strongest. Bastard, you unfilial son! Cien Tyran was furious. He hated spineless people the most. Now, the Cien people's void immortal prodigy was kneeling here. Wasn't this too humiliating? Patriarch Cien Ming City trembled. He knew that he was done for. Even if he survived, his future was bleak. The Cien people would never nurture a young expert with such a grave stain. Cien Ming City, the Cien people experts who came with him were also furious. Soon, they noticed a strange group. Zhu Xing was ignored by them, including the snow-white little critter. Fan Jian concealed his appearance. He was worried that this matter would be leaked and bring endless trouble to the Cien people. The leader of the group was a young man who looked rather familiar. Their expressions changed in unison. Wasn't this Xia Kunlun? Wasn't this the wanted criminal of the Cien people? He was standing here. Could it be that he was the one who destroyed this resource land? He was the one who did it. Xia Kunlun. Cien Tyran was also furious. His eyes were bloodshot. As the Cien people's patriarch, he could hardly control the boiling killing intent in his heart at this moment. His face was so ferocious that it was almost distorted. Long time no see, Cien Tyran. Su Yen smiled. His gaze was fixed on Cien Tyran. When he found out that the Cien people's Cien Tyran was coming, Su Yen was not prepared to leave. Zhu Xing knew that Cien Tyran was the one who led the Cien people's attack on Xianhuang Universe. If his clone had not come to Xianhuang Universe, a series of tragedies would not have happened. Because of Cien Tyran's Dao Extreme Immortal Metal clone, Su Yen had almost died. One could imagine how great this hatred was. Who are you? Cien Tyran took a deep breath and gradually regained his composure. He wanted to know who Xia Kunlun was and who the young Devil King was. He also wanted to know what Su Yen meant by that. Could it be that Xia Kunlun had met him before? But no matter how hard he thought, he could not remember who this young man was. Then, Cien Tyran's expression turned ugly. Cien Tyran, you're so forgetful. From this moment on, Su Yan's eyes burned brightly, and his killing intent soared. This was terrifying. His killing intent flowed like an ocean. It was as if he could slaughter millions of lives with a single thought. The Cien people's cultivators gathered here felt their hair stand on end. They were definitely being targeted by an ancient beast. On the contrary, they felt insignificant, like ants before a dragon. Su Yan's majestic appearance was intimidating. His eyes were cold and his long black hair was loose. Every step he took was like thunder. Boom. The world changed, as if it was being divided. Su Yan's majestic appearance was shocking. His hair danced in the wind. He was like a devil god walking in the mortal world. His mighty and terrifying divine might swept across the world. This was an invincible aura, a will that looked down on all living things. Zhu Xing was stunned. He seemed to have seen the former human emperor of Xianwang universe come out of seclusion. His steps were heavy, and the great Tao of heaven and earth resonated with him. He controlled the universe's starry sky and shone with ancient and shocking divine might. What a terrifying killing intent! Fan Jian was stunned. He felt his hair stand on end. He was also a ferocious person who had fought for his entire life. However, compared to Su Yan, he was nothing. Su Yan's killing intent was too dense. He was like a devil lord who had suppressed the chaotic world. He descended from the sky and looked down on all living things in the universe. Fan Jian felt that this was the real Su Yan. He walked on the earth with monstrous killing intent. He was indescribably terrifying. The battle had yet to break out, but his enemies were already terrified. Boom! In an instant, Su Yan charged over. His voice reverberated between heaven and earth. The roars of dragons and tigers shook everyone's hearts. Su Yan's aura surged as he strode over. His hair danced in the wind, and he looked majestic. "Ancestor, run!" a dozen Xian people experts shouted. If Xian Tyrant's clone died, it would be a fatal blow to his main body. It should be known that Xia Kunlun was not the only one here. They had even dug out all the puppets in the treasure vault. Run? Xian Tyrant's face was filled with humiliation. He could not lower his head to a young man. Su Yan exploded. He raised his head and roared. He formed the Dragon Tiger Divine escape technique with his hand. The sun, moon, rivers, and mountains resonated with him. Boom! The entire world resonated with him. His monstrous supernatural power was released. The aura he released made many people collapse to the ground. This is the power of the Mystic Gate. The Xian people experts were horrified. Su Yan controlled the heavens, the earth, the rivers, and the mountains. He even used the 4 great escape techniques. A huge explosion of energy occurred in this area. It was as if the heavens were pouring down, or as if the Milky Way was pouring down from the 9 heavens. The shocking crushing power crushed the bodies of the immortals, causing them to tremble. No. They cried out in fear. This was the result of being suppressed to death. They couldn't match this power, only able to watch as their flesh exploded, exploding into bloody radiance. Then, even their primordial spirits were destroyed. *****starred. Is he Xia Kunlun or the young Devil King? The Xian people's true immortals were stunned. Even as powerful as they were, they found it difficult to breathe. Su Yan was like the breathing of the universe. His divine might was vast, and it swept over from all directions. The suppression caused the true immortals to dim. They could not unleash their power to stop Su Yan. They could only watch as he charged toward Xian Tairan. In an instant, Xian Tairan unleashed his strongest power to resist Su Yan's power. He was also extremely powerful. His body was tempered with rare treasured materials. It was indestructible. He faced Su Yan with his strongest stance. "Xia Kunlun, I don't care if you're a human or a ghost. You can't kill my clone." Xian Tyrant's strength was unquestionable. In the entire 10,000-tribe battlefield, there were few who could severely injure his clone. Back then, didn't you think that I was pitiful because I couldn't even enter the Emperor's road? Well, I'm here now. Su Yan's aura swallowed the stars. He closed in on Xian Tairan and said coldly, "I'm here to kill you. Brothers, let's go all out today and ask for some monthly votes." Chapter 15-16. Xian people, Xian Tyrant's clone isn't weak. This battle is going to be interesting. Fan Jian shouted excitedly. He might be able to force Su Yan to use his strongest power. Although Xian Tyrant's clone had only just entered the immortal Dao realm, who was Xian Tairan? His doppelganger was not something that could be destroyed so easily. If he forced this old rabbit into a corner, he would definitely be able to unleash 120% of his power and unleash some earth-shattering remarkable ability. "I'm here to kill you." This completely infuriated Cien Tyran. He laughed angrily. "So, it's a former trash. I'd like to see how strong you are to dare to speak such arrogant words to me." Without a doubt, Cien Tyran did not recognize Su Yen. However, from his words, he could guess that this person might be the young trash that he had once looked down on. Now that he had some achievements, he was eager to prove himself. On the contrary, this guess made Cien Tyran confident. "Old thing, get over here!" Su Yen roared furiously. He raised his fist and charged toward Cien Tyran. His entire body flowed with the phenomenon of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Killing intent surged. He was like a divine devil war god who had torn apart the earth. His fist was blazing, containing the essence, chi, and spirit that could destroy Cien Tyran. It came crashing down across space and time, causing a world-shaking tremor. Boom! The void exploded. His fist aura surged over, shattering everything. His courage was unparalleled. "Little bastard, let's see how strong you are." Cien Tyran was not to be outdone. He mustered up all his strength and unleashed his peak power. The clone that was refined from rare treasured materials shone brilliantly. Its fist was as huge as a star. With a boom, it met Su Yan's fist aura. Boom! The two rather barbaric forces collided, causing a violent and deafening sound. The world turned blurry. The power between them was too shocking. The collision caused the starry sky to tremble. In fact, there was even a burst of bloody light that surged in all directions. It was a soul-stirring sight. Patriarch, the Cien people's true immortals trembled. They saw Cien Tyran being struck by lightning. His powerful flesh shell trembled violently, and his entire fist was about to shatter. Supreme treasure body, Cien Tyran was shocked. This was definitely a supreme treasured body. Otherwise, it would not have been able to severely wound his clone in a single exchange. After all, his corporeal body was forged from immortal treasured materials. Even immortal weapons would find it extremely difficult to threaten his flesh shell. But Su Yen had done it with a single strike. This made Cien Tyran furious. One young devil king was enough to give the Cien people a headache, and now Xia Kunlun, who also had a supreme treasured body, had appeared. Could it be that the celestial court was showing signs of rising from the ashes? Kill! Su Yen let out a long roar, and the dragon fought in the wild. His entire body's divine power surged, bombarding the sky until it began to boil. In the face of such a shocking attack, Cien Tyran quickly retreated in an attempt to avoid it. However, this minor world's grand momentum fused together to form a massive prison world, sealing off all of Cien Tyran's escape route. A peerless attack came crashing down. This was a world-shaking scene. At this moment, Su Yen was too brilliant and brilliant. His fist power reached the heavens, shattering the universe and exploding here. Roar! Cien Tyran let out a low roar as he activated the Cien people's supreme scriptures. His blood-stained body glowed, and a vast and majestic immortal path's natural order appeared. His entire hand stretched forward, covered in layers of runes, and surged with resplendent immortal radiance. Soon, the hand became boundlessly large, and could easily cover the starry sky. Immortal Sky Hand. Cien Tyran waved his hand and easily activated a profound remarkable power. The huge hand blotted out the sky, and in the instant it flipped, the immortal sky great Tao appeared, revealing a heaven-splitting phenomenon, suppressing the source of Su Yan's divine power that was leaking out. An old monster is an old monster indeed. He can activate a world-shaking immortal path at any time. Fan Jian was shocked. The immortal sky hand was activated, and it had many transformations. In the end, it evolved into the immortal sky world. The sun, moon, and stars were arranged, and the mountains and rivers were majestic. The entire immortal sky world began to rotate, about to destroy Su Yan, who was in the midst of collapse. However, Su Yan's move was simple and domineering. The same punch exploded, and gods and devils wept. The universe repeated itself, accompanied by a majestic might that traversed the long river of time. It filled the entire immortal sky world and destroyed the immortal path that filled the skies. Could this be the strongest remarkable power in history, the initial fist? Fan Jian's eyes widened as he watched. Su Yan's fist was exceptionally majestic. The immortal sky world began to revert to chaos. He was truly peerless. This fist landed solidly on Xian Tyran's palm, causing it to shatter. His body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was sent flying and fell far away. This is the initial fist, he was horrified. Could this be the strongest successor of the Celestial Court? He had actually mastered the strongest remarkable power in history, the initial fist. In fact, Su Yan's fist technique was too profound. There was no doubt that Su Yan, who had followed the path of the Celestial Emperor, had obtained the primordial runes. His mastery of the initial power had improved by leaps and bounds. He had even destroyed the great remarkable power that the Xian people's old ancestor had created. Su Yan's messy hair fluttered in the wind. His majestic bearing was awe-inspiring. He took one step after another toward Xian Tyran. With each step, Su Yan's aura surged. The world turned blood-red, and the aura of calamity filled the entire space. Soon enough, a blood-colored godfiend was born. He would rule over the immortal path and all living beings. Just how many remarkable arts has this freak mastered? Fan Jian had never experienced the initial fist or the calamity path. In the battle of the Four Sages' sword domain, Su Yan had only unleashed the immortal slaying sword. He had not used any of his other remarkable arts. Now that he had unleashed two great secret arts in succession, the aura of the calamity path covered the sky and covered the sun. It seemed as if it would rule over the entire world. Xian Tyran's expression was extremely unsightly. What remarkable power was this? Stop him! Old ancestor, run! Run! Nearby, several true immortals closed in on Su Yan, intending to stop him. A bunch of trash! Get out of my way! Su Yan shouted coldly. Murderous light shot out from his eyes. His palms pushed the blood-red light that filled the sky. It started to flow and eventually formed two ancient blood-red universes. Splat! The true immortals trembled. They were no match for the boundless blood-red light that filled the sky. Although they were not severely injured, it was enough to stop them. It was difficult for them to interfere in this battle. Su Yan only had Xian Tyran in his eyes. Old thing, Su Yan said coldly, don't even think about escaping. I'm going to kill you. Even if the heavens come, they won't be able to save you. You little B***starred. How dare you bully my clone? If it was in the past, Xian Tyran was furious. If his extreme Tao immortal metal clone was here in the past, it would be enough to destroy Su Yan. However, it was too late to say anything now. His primordial spirit burned together with his physical body, erupting with 120% of his combat strength as he activated a great remarkable power. Xian Tyran's entire physical body spewed out a boundless waterfall. It was like a world-destroying torrent. The scene was terrifying. It destroyed this small world and surged toward Su Yan. What can you do to me? Su Yan shouted coldly. He was in the blood-red world, invulnerable to all techniques and indestructible to all tribulations. Even if the immortal radiance inextinguishable light attacked, it would be difficult to break through the world covered by the Tao of Calamity. Even if your extreme Tao immortal metal clone is reconstructed, I will still destroy you. Su Yan roared and moved in the blood-red world. The aura of calamity that filled the sky surged and then completely overturned. The scene was magnificent. What a domineering secret technique! Fan Jian was shocked. It was as if the universe was releasing a calamity, evolving into a heavenly punishment. It had to be said that Su Yan's move was extremely frightening. It even caused a huge commotion. It was as if he really dominated this world, and boundless tribulations descended. In an instant, blood-red light covered the sun and runes filled the sky. It was as if the 9 hells purgatory had been born, and the sound of ghosts crying and gods howling could be heard. The energy here exploded, and an unimaginable blood-red aura drowned the entire space-time. Even Xian Tairan was drowned. In fact, there was even a slightly blood-red figure that walked towards Xian Tairan step by step. His essence, qi, and spirit were erupting and surging without limit. Xian Tairan was frightened. He saw a familiar figure looking at him coldly. "It's you." Xian Tairan's scalp was about to explode. He thought of a young man who had died in the darkness. He was terrified. Su Yan was still alive. The Su Yan who had died in the darkness was actually still alive. How can this be? How can he still be alive? Xian Tairan lost control of his emotions. How could something so ridiculous happen? How could he come out alive from the calamity of darkness? How many years had it been since he reached the void immortal realm? How could it be so ridiculous? Su Yan raised his fist and charged toward Xian Tairan with a domineering fist. Xian Tairan lost control of his mind and could not gather any great abilities in a short period of time. In the end, he resisted with his fist. However, this fist was too ferocious. It exploded Xian Tairan's fist, and even half of his body was crushed. Pfft! Xian Tairan coughed up blood. His hair was disheveled, and he laughed in grief and indignation. "You're still alive? This is the biggest joke in the world. Ha 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 ha! What are you laughing at?" Su Yan raised his foot and stepped on Xian Tairan's broken body. He looked down at him and said coldly, "What are you laughing at?" Xian Tairan's face was unrecognizable, but he still clenched his fists and said angrily, "What can you do to the Xian people? Do you think you can take revenge just because you did some sneaky things? Do you think you're invincible just because you killed a few useless disciples of the Xian people? To my race? There are dozens of void immortals. Can you kill them all? My race still has the invincible Ingjie, the future paragon of the monarch ranking. We have you to thank for that." Su Yan's cold face was expressionless. He waved his fist and punched toward Xian Tairan's head. "Arg!" Xian Tairan screamed in pain. His clone disintegrated into pieces and exploded into bloody light. A nascent spirit flew out. It was still calm as it said with a cruel smile, "So what if you killed one of my clones? What can you change? Since you Xian people think that you can have a paragon of the monarch ranking after obtaining a strand of my black substance," Su Yan said coldly, "then let me end this situation for you Xian people. Don't even think about it." Xian Tairan's nascent spirit roared, "Stop dreaming. You'll never be able to do it. You'll never reach the height of my race's young paragon. You'll understand in the future. I, Su Yan, killed a peak true immortal like Xian Huiyu even though I've just entered the immortal realm. What can't I do?" Su Yan's cold voice made Xian Tairan scream. He could no longer maintain his current emotions. He roared furiously, "You little B*****starred, I'll kill you myself. You won't live for long." Xian Tairan felt as if a knife was twisting in his heart. After all, Xian Huiyu had a chance of becoming a grand heavenly immortal. However, she was killed by Su Yan in the battle in the Xianwang universe. That had always been the greatest pain in Xian Tairan's heart. Now that Su Yan had exposed the truth, he could no longer maintain his composure. He roared uncontrollably. Bam! Su Yan raised his hand and destroyed Xian Tairan's nascent spirit clone. At the same time, his eyes shone with cold light as he charged toward the nearby true immortals. A great battle broke out in the peaceful resource secret realm once again. True immortal light exploded one after another. However, the battle didn't last long. The bleeding resource secret realm finally calmed down. In less than half a day, the Cien people's experts rushed over. The entire resource secret realm was almost overturned. In the end, the experts of the immortal sects nearby came to investigate. Has the celestial court's strongest successor appeared? Is Xia Kunlun stronger, or is the young Devil King stronger? Xianming City was destroyed. That was an outstanding talent who had a chance of entering the top 10,000 list. I can't believe he was killed. In less than a day, the news spread out like a flood. Soon, the 10,000 races battlefield was shaken, and space-time wormholes were shaken. Xia Kunlun, who had disappeared for half a year, appeared once again. He massacred the Cien people's resource secret realm, causing a huge commotion. Chapter 15-17. Who is it? In the outside world, a certain continent trembled. Cien Tyran coughed out blood continuously. His avatar had fallen, and his main body's vitality had also been greatly damaged. In the end, he was enraged. He emitted a boundless storm of aura that shook the heavens and the earth, causing the nearby experts to tremble in fear. What had happened to make the Cien people's old ancestor go crazy? Cien Tyran's eyes were red. His avatar had been killed once again, and even his primordial spirit couldn't escape. He had lost all contact with it. However, before his primordial spirit avatar fell, he sensed unwillingness and anger. He felt that something big had happened, and he wanted to know what had happened. However, everything was too late. His primordial spirit avatar had been completely destroyed, and no information could be sent out. Is the celestial court rising? In the 10,000 races battlefield, the large regions were in an uproar. The news that came was too shocking. One of the Cien people's greatest fortunes had been massacred. Not a single person came out alive. All of them had fallen. This matter was too terrifying. The Cien people's cultivators who came to investigate determined that it was Xia Kunlun through the battle aura. Otherwise, outsiders wouldn't have done such a crazy thing. It's been 1,000,000 years. The celestial court has been silent for so long. Finally, a shocking successor has appeared. It seems that the dark calamity 1,000,000 years ago didn't destroy the celestial court. They still have signs of rising. The young Devil King and Xia Kunlun. These two are extremely talented. They must be the strongest successors of the celestial court. They must have big shots behind them, and the Yen Emperor is one of them. I don't know why, but I have an indescribable expectation. I want to see them rise and witness their glory. You're thinking too much. The Cien people have always been strong. Even if the celestial court can rise again, there's still hope for it to return to its heyday. At most, they can establish an immortal sect. It's impossible for them to recreate their prehistoric glory and legends. The various large regions discussed animatedly. This matter had caused a world-shaking storm. The celestial court had become a hot topic. Although the most glorious power 1,000,000 years ago had been destroyed, its successors had appeared one after another. It had to be said that it had shaken the world. Trash. Within a certain great region, a thunderous fury was released, shaking a group of people until they began to tremble. The blood and chi within their bodies continuously surged, and blood flowed out from their mouths and noses. They couldn't even stand steadily. The entire region seemed to be undulating. It was vast and mighty, accompanied by the figure illuminating the region, emitting a divine radiance that overflowed into the sky. The tens of millions of creatures in the great region were stupefied. That figure was too shocking, illuminating the great region. Chi and blood rushed into the heavens, brilliance shining endlessly, divine might world shocking. The second paragon of the Cien people is getting stronger and stronger, as expected of a peerless genius. He is quite astonishing. He dominates this great region, and no one dares to challenge him. Even though he is only the Xian people's second supreme being, who dares to look down on him? Are you kidding? He is the son of the Xian people's sect leader. What kind of status is that? How could they not be strong? I wonder if I'll be able to contend for the top 10 positions in the monarch rankings in the future. Everyone was discussing with fear in their eyes. It was very difficult to look directly at the figure of the great domain illuminator. His might alone was already incomparable. Now that he was angry, it was as if the heavens had sent down a world-shocking heavenly punishment and wanted to split everyone apart. The people of the Xian people were terrified. They knelt on the ground, trembling in fear. Even true immortals found it difficult to remain calm. This was the second paragon of the Xian people. His boldness overflowed into the heavens, and he even had the confidence to contend for the top 10 positions on the monarch rankings. He was fully deserving of his title as a peerless genius. The second paragon of the Xian people was furious. He already knew about Xia Kunlun's matter. Just the fact that Xian Bailing was captured alive was already shocking enough. But now, Xian Radiant City was also destroyed, and even the resource land's treasury was plundered. Moreover, Xian Tyrant's clone was also destroyed. This made the second paragon of the Xian people furious. He shouted coldly, "Find him! No matter the price, we must find him." "As you command." The group of Xian people experts hurriedly nodded. The second paragon of the Xian people's words were equivalent to an old ancestor, equivalent to the Xian people's higher-ups issuing orders. Because he was the son of the Xian people's sect leader, he held a high position among the Xian people. In fact, his ancestral master was the founder of the Xian people. This clan was too terrifying among the Xian people. It was equivalent to the Xian people's imperial family. The second paragon of the Xian people was furious. He shouted, "It doesn't matter who it is, as long as they can lure Xia Kunlun out." "Of course," the second paragon said coldly. "Most importantly, the young Devil King deserves to die. His father had suffered a great loss in the past, and all of his men had been wiped out. But what could a bunch of fugitives do? What could a few fugitives do to wipe out the younger generation under their command? For the Xian people, the young Devil King was their primary target. Because he had the Celestial Court's most precious treasure, the 9 continents' heaven cauldrons. He had even reconstructed the broken field, and it was very likely that he had obtained the heaven-opening writing brush. This matter was top secret, and the Xian people knew very little about it. But the second paragon of the Xian people knew, so the young Devil King had to be captured. As long as he could be captured alive, the impact on the Xian people would be too great. For millions of years, the Xian people had never given up on searching for traces of the Celestial Court's lost treasures. Now 2 had appeared in succession. If the Xian people could get their hands on them, they would definitely become the strongest race in the world. We understand. There will be good news soon. The eyes of the Xian people experts who had come to listen to the decree flashed coldly. There were indeed some clues, but it would cause a great commotion if they used it. But the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun, the 2 immortals, had been free and unfettered for so long. It was time for them to be executed, right? The longer they lived, the more the world would laugh at the Xian people. They had to close the net as soon as possible. The whole world was in an uproar. The world wanted to see how the Xian people would fight back, but the world of the Sword Catacomb was not quiet. Fan Jian had been in the 4 Sacred Sword Realm for half a year and had not come out. This matter had shocked the entire upper echelon of the Sword sect. But Fan Jian's primordial spirit lamp was still lit. What had happened? Oh no, oh no! When the news reached the Sword Catacomb, the usually calm Jian Jingshan's face fell. He felt that something big was about to happen. This jinx. The elders of the Sword sect were scared out of their wits. Fan Jian's ability to cause trouble was already strong enough. But if he was really with Xia Kunlun, it was really unknown what the two of them could do. Xia Kunlun, the young devil king. These two lunatics even dared to attack the Xian people's paragon. If they step into the path of immortality, wouldn't they dare to attack the Xian people's ancestors? Fan Jian is with them. I have a very bad feeling about this. Only a few people knew about the sword catacomb, and this gave them a headache. Since Xia Kunlun had appeared in the Xian people's resource land, Fan Jian would definitely be with him. If this matter was exposed, it would be a big deal. Fan Jian did not know about the sword sect's reaction. He was very regretful that he could not take the heavenly smith furnace away. Su Yan had thought of many ways, but unfortunately, he could not take the heavenly smith furnace away. If he could not take away something as powerful as the mystic arts, the Xian people could not do it either. This matter could only be solved in the future. Now they had found a safe zone. Zhu Xing, this is yours. Keep it. Su Yan took out a true immortal puppet, thousands of kilograms of immortal Dao stones, and a large number of natural treasures, and handed them to Zhu Xing. Zhu Xing was in tears. He had helped Su Yan several times, and finally, he had a great harvest. This batch of resources was too precious. Even the disciples of the immortal sect's inheritances could not control it. Now it was on his head. Are you going to reward me based on my contributions? Fan Jian urged, waiting excitedly. Who knew that Su Yan would only take out a true immortal puppet? This made Fan Jian's eyes widen. How could it be inferior to his underling? Fan Jian, do you lack other things? Su Yan looked at Fan Jian and said sincerely, you are the number one person in the sword sect, and you are very rich. Do you still need these things? The number one sword in the world? Zhu Xing was stunned. He did not expect this to be the sword sect's Fan Jian. But how did this guy become Su Yan's underling? Could it be that he challenged Su Yan and lost to Su Yan? This made Zhu Xing dumbfounded. He knew that Su Yan was strong, but he did not expect him to be so fierce. However, Zhu Xing was used to it and was not surprised. Fan Jian's face darkened. He was mentally stable, and he knew that he did not need the other things. To be able to obtain a true immortal puppet by accident was already of great help to him. Moreover, it was equivalent to coming here for nothing. Since the opening of the Four Sages' Sword Realm, a series of encounters had completely overturned Fan Jian's life. Of course, Su Yan's gains were not limited to these. Just the wealth in Xianming City alone was enough to make Su Yan shocked. In addition to the gains from the secret treasure vaults, the immortal Dao stones on him were close to 50,000 kilograms. That was a huge fortune. Even the 10 true immortal puppets would definitely be of use in the future. Big brother, what we did this time is too big. What should we do next? At this moment, Fan Jian said in a low voice, the Xian people will not let this go. They will definitely search the world for us. I think you should go back to the sword catacomb with me. They will not expect you to be in our sword sect's territory. Go back for what? Are you scared? Su Yan glanced at Fan Jian and said, but you are an outsider after all. You have gained enough along the way. Go. Don't, big brother. Fan Jian patted his chest and said, when have I, Fan Jian, ever been scared of anyone? What do you want to do next? Tell me, I will definitely go with you. In short, Fan Jian felt that following Su Yan would bring him great benefits. He was not willing to leave. In the past half a year, he had gained a lot. It was much better than staying in the sword catacomb to strengthen himself secretly. Fan Jian's goal was very high, but if he wanted to become a primogenitor, he would not be able to do it without great opportunities. However, ever since he saw Su Yan and Long Daesong, Fan Jian felt that the top 10 on the Monarch leaderboard were a great threat. He had to work hard. If he could succeed, his future would be bright. I am going to conquer a large region. Su Yan's words made Fan Jian doubt his life. Did he hear it wrong? Su Yan was going to conquer a large region? Just by himself? The Xian people control 3 large regions. I am going to conquer one. The next sentence almost made Fan Jian cry. Big brother, how many people do you have? Do you know how many perfected immortals the Xian people have? Moreover, it's impossible to conquer a large region without a true immortal expert. Don't you have the perfected immortal puppet? Su Yen took out his puppet and said seriously, as long as I control this war machine, I will be able to tear apart the Xian people's large region. Big brother, you are overthinking it. Fan Jian could not help but remind him, although you have the perfected immortal puppet, you will not be able to use much of its power. It's fine. With my supreme treasure body, I only need to strengthen my primordial spirit. If my primordial spirit is strengthened further, I might even be able to increase my current strength. At this moment, Su Yen took out the 7-colored elemental immortal fruit and prepared to strengthen his primordial spirit. 7-colored elemental immortal fruit. Fan Jian was shocked. He widened his eyes and looked at the fruit. After a long time, he said, "This is the fruit of the 7-colored elemental immortal tree, one of the 10 most powerful treasured trees. It is a rare primordial spirit-type medicine. It is not sold, no matter how much you pay. Big brother, how did you get it? Can you bring me to buy one?" Zhu Xing glanced at Fan Jian. "Look at you, you are so ignorant." It was obvious that he had stolen it. "You can't buy this fruit. I picked it from the sky bamboo. If you want it, I can show you the way. You can try your luck and see if you can pick it and take it away." Su Yen did not hide it. He had been sealing this thing, and now it came in handy. Fourth update. I am too tired. I am afraid I can't write the next chapter. I am going to eat first. Chapter 15:18. Who did not know about the 10 most powerful treasured trees after the heavens were split open? The 7-colored essence immortal tree in the sky bamboo lineage could nurture 7-colored essence immortal fruit. This was a rare essence soul-type secret medicine. Although it was not an ultimate treasure, the 7-colored essence immortal tree's value could not be measured by treasured medicines. After all, it could nurture 7-colored essence immortal fruits an unlimited number of times. Every fruit tree was of great help to the immortal path's essence spirit. Moreover, for their domain, the 7-colored essence immortal fruit was already a precious medicine that was hard to come by. It was enough to temper their essence spirit to an extremely abnormal domain, even surpassing the experts among veteran true immortals. Everyone knew that the growth of the essence spirit was very slow. Now, Su Yen had taken out a 7-colored essence immortal fruit, and it was even plucked from the sky bamboo lineage's forbidden area. Fan Jian was silent for a long time. In the end, he dug his ears and did not say anything. He did not ask how it was plucked, nor did he dare to ask what path Su Yen had given him. In short, Fan Jian's face was covered in tears. How could someone steal the 7-colored essence immortal fruit from the sky bamboo lineage? He knew a rumor. It was said that Xia Kunlun had been in the sky bamboo lineage for a long time. He had even become the strongest expert in the sect's outer sect. From the looks of it, he must have stolen many things from the sky bamboo lineage. Fan Jian was starting to doubt his life. Was he still the #1 sword in the world, the strongest genius of the sword sect? It's said that the sword sect also has a heavenly sword tree. Zhu Xing said as he looked at Fan Jian. Heavenly sword tree? Su Yen was surprised. It was said that the heavenly sword tree, one of the 10 most powerful treasured trees, was seized by the sword sect's ancestor from an ancient immortal sect. That battle happened quite a long time ago. Because of that, the sword sect became a prosperous immortal sect. From then on, the sword sect had the sky hegemon sword and the heavenly sword tree. These 2 supreme treasures suppressed the sect's destiny and were strong forever. Fan Jian suddenly jolted. He shook his head and waved his hand. No, don't talk nonsense. There's no such thing. It's not a secret. Su Yen sneered and said, the heavenly sword tree is very helpful to the sword Dao domain. Fan Jian, as the #1 in the sword sect, You must have a fruit from the heavenly sword tree, right? Hearing this, Fan Jian's face darkened. What fruit? The heavenly sword tree will not bear fruit. It is similar to the primordial tree. Primordial tree. Su Yan was moved. He had heard from Zhu Zhu that the primordial tree was the most terrifying ancient tree among the 10 most powerful treasured trees. The primordial tree was hailed as the strongest treasure tree in history. It was hard to imagine how valuable the primordial tree was. Yes, the primordial tree. Fan Jian said excitedly. I say, big brother, once the 3rd stage of the Emperor Road begins, the primordial tree will definitely appear. When that time comes, we can join forces and explore the primordial tree. We might even be able to dominate several primordial grotto heavens. The 7-colored elemental immortal fruit could bear fruit. However, the primal tree was different. It could open up a primal paradise, and it was said that every primal paradise contained the most ancient and most primal runes of the great Tao. If one could enter the primal tree to meditate, this would be an extremely terrifying opportunity. Fan Jian even knew that the primordial tree would produce primordial sap, which was equivalent to the primordial sap of heaven and earth. Its value was unimaginable. It could evolve one's physique and strengthen one's life essence. It was said that the legendary 9th-grade life essence evolution fluid required a portion of the primordial sap. Su Yan fell silent. Ever since he followed the Heavenly Emperor's path and comprehended the most ancient runes left behind by the Heavenly Emperor, Su Yan found it increasingly difficult to understand the beginning sutra. This sutra was broad and profound. The deeper he cultivated, the more he realized that he had only touched the tip of the iceberg. In the future immortal Tao realm, Tao arts were of utmost importance. Immortality was a path to explore life, but the immortal Tao was mainly about exploring the immortal Tao. Once he cultivated to this stage, the sutra would be of utmost importance. However, Su Yan reckoned that in his current state, the cultivation of the immortal Tao realm would not be easy. The primordial tree. His eyes shone with a divine radiance as a strong desire surged. The most ancient and primordial grotto heavens could be said to be the world's most top-notch dojo. If he could meditate in it, it would be too important for Su Yan's cultivation. No matter what level the exploration of life and the immortal path reached, it was closely related to the future grand immortal realm. This was the goal they pursued. Fan Jian was also very clear that although he had a great ambition and wanted to become a primogenitor, he was still a primogenitor. However, the path to the zenith heaven golden immortal alone was enough to stump 99% of the cultivators in the 10,000 races battlefield. Even in the previous top 10,000 list, there were some who found it difficult to step into the zenith heaven realm. It was even said that the strongest hurdle in the grand heavenly realm was the golden immortal path. When my primordial spirit grows stronger, it will also stimulate the improvement of my physical body's vitality. Time is really dangerous. The battle of the 10,000 strong is about to begin. I have to hurry. Su Yan's essence spirit walked out and swallowed the 7-colored essence immortal fruit. Fan Jian's eyes turned red as he gritted his teeth. He ran to the corner of the underground cave and began to cultivate bitterly. If Su Yan continued to grow stronger, he would be left behind by Su Yan. At the same time, Zhu Xing was not to be outdone. He took out a large number of immortal Tao stones. He was prepared to bathe in the immortal Tao energy to quickly mature the immortal substance in his body. He had obtained more than 5,000 kilograms of immortal Tao stones. Even if the immortal Tao orthodoxy's inheritance was immortal, it was already impressive to have a few thousand kilograms. Zhu Xing wanted to quickly increase his strength so that he could control the perfected immortal puppet. Boom! The medicinal effects of the 7-colored essence immortal fruit exceeded Su Yan's expectations. This fruit tree contained an exuberant source of soul qi. It was a natural source of vitality. The moment the golden liquid flowed in his essence spirit, It stimulated Su Yan's essence spirit to burn brightly as its source energy rapidly strengthened. So fast. Su Yan was shocked. It was much faster than he expected. The seven-colored essence immortal fruit directly fused with his essence spirit and crazily strengthened Su Yan's origin soul qi. It even nourished his soul body in the process. It was a little painful and unbearable. There was no doubt that the giant bamboo had told Su Yan that his essence spirit had to be stabilized before he could consume the seven-colored essence immortal fruit. Otherwise, his essence spirit would be torn apart by the essence immortal fruit's medicinal effects. The result was obvious. The seven-colored essence immortal fruit's medicinal effects were too shocking. It should be known that Su Yan's essence spirit had grown much stronger after bathing in the chaos elixir during his chaos tribulation. Now, in the process of fusing with the seven-colored essence immortal fruit, Su Yan could barely withstand it. He kept his composure and focused his mind. His clones that were comprehending the heaven-destroying sword path also returned to his body. The 9 provinces' heavenly cauldrons contained the heaven-destroying sword path's formation diagram. Su Yan studied it with all his might. Although he knew that it was impossible for him to set up the complete sword formation diagram, even if he could set up 10% or 20% of it, it would be enough to kill a perfected immortal expert. However, this matter could not be rushed. With his current cultivation base, it was impossible for him to fully comprehend the sword formation diagram's profundity. Time passed day by day. The outside world was not calm. Have the Xian people gone mad? The world originally thought that the Xian people would cut the Gordian knot after suffering such a huge loss. They would try their best to dig out Xia Kunlun's whereabouts. After all, there were rumors that the Xian people had dug out a rare puppet from the Ghostcraft sect. In the end, it was stolen by Xia Kunlun. This matter caused quite a stir. If it was really a series of super-powerful puppets, then it would be of great significance. It was highly possible that it was at the level of a grand heavenly immortal. It was unavoidable that the Xian people would go mad after losing such a huge treasure. The result was beyond their expectations. Danzong, who had a peaceful relationship with the Xian people, was now being suppressed by the Xian people. Why are they targeting Danzong? Danzong has a high status in the immortal heavenly domain. The Xian people and the Danzong have always minded their own business. However, the Xian people's resource lands have been invaded by the Danzong experts recently. This is not a good thing. Are the Xian people going to attack the Danzong? This matter caused quite a stir in the 10,000 tribes battlefield. No one knew what the Xian people were up to. In short, this clan's attitude was very unyielding. It seemed that they had the approval of the clan's higher-ups. Otherwise, they would not have invaded the Danzong's resource lands so frequently. Danzong was also very angry because of this. However, the Xian people had many experts. They were one of the top sects in the immortal heavenly domain. Danzong was just a Danzong sect. Although they had powerful experts in their sect, they were still weaker than the Xian people in terms of strength. This matter caused quite a stir. Some people suspected that the Xian people were looking for something. Almost all of the Danzong's resource lands were invaded at the same time. This was definitely a premeditated operation. 10 days had passed. In Su Yan's underground cave, Little White Dragon acted as a guard. It patrolled lazily and yawned from time to time. It could not be helped. Daddy was in seclusion, and Little White Dragon had no milk to drink. It was listless all day long. On this day, Little White Dragon suddenly became alert. Its beastly eyes, which were as bright as black gemstones, looked at Su Yan. At the same time, Fan Jian, who was pondering the sword body technique, also shuddered. Su Yan's aura was a little frightening. His frontal bone glowed as though an immortal sun was burning. Soul light sputtered out and formed bursts of soul storm. This freak. Fan Jian gritted his teeth. His primordial spirit had fused with the 7-colored elemental immortal fruit. It would definitely lay a shocking foundation for Su Yan's primordial spirit. It would strengthen his primordial spirit realm, and make him extremely powerful in the void immortal realm. However, when the light of the primordial spirit between Su Yan's eyebrows had reached its peak, suddenly, a majestic wave surged, forming a terrifying soul vortex that was about to swallow Fan Jian's mind. Impossible! Fan Jian screamed. His primordial spirit was on the verge of collapse. The aura of a paragon, Zhu Xing trembled and almost prostrated himself on the ground. The pressure from the primordial spirit light from Su Yan's forehead bone gave him a splitting headache. Su Yan's primordial spirit body was too shocking. After completely fusing with the seven-colored elemental immortal fruit, his soul chi was blazing. Moreover, the sealed white fog treasure was opened, causing his soul chi to surge once more. It was quite shocking. Boom! The golden primordial spirit roared. Radiance filled the sky and the void exploded. It was like a huge beast swallowing everything in its path. From this moment onward, his primordial spirit seemed to have fallen into the long river of time and space. It crossed thousands of regions in a short period of time. It was also like Su Yan's mouth and nose spewing out two streams of white fog. With a thought, it could reach billions of miles away, however. In the direction of the source of Su Yan's primordial spirit light, blood light surged. The chanting of sutras swept out like a vast ocean, endless. It was even accompanied by a terrifying heartbeat. It was terrifying. A powerful living being was awakened. He opened his heavenly eye and looked at one's soul. His long black hair was scattered, and he was as cold as an invincible paragon. Looking at the incoming primordial spirit light, he shouted, "It's you! It's you!" They shouted almost at the same time. Su Yan's primordial spirit light surged, outlining a blazing figure that faced off against the Xian people's #1 paragon. Su Yan's arms glowed with boundless strength. He turned into a glaring Vajra. He was 6 feet tall and his soul light surged. In an instant, he turned into a golden halberd, which Su Yan held with both hands and descended from the sky. Kill! Su Yan roared and slashed down. Chapter 15:19. Hong. Heaven and earth trembled violently. A thunderous explosion shook heaven and earth. Everything happened too suddenly. A soul storm surged between heaven and earth, forming a sea of golden energy that burned fiercely. Who is it? This region was in an uproar. As a terrifying soul aura spread out, all of the cultivators in this world were horrified. They felt as if the heavens were collapsing and that they would be destroyed along with it. Pooh! Large amounts of creatures flew outwards. They didn't even have time to react before their souls trembled violently. During this process, their eyes turned black and their frontal bones shattered. Ah! Some people cried out miserably. They couldn't withstand the crushing power of the soul storm. Their souls were crushed and completely extinguished. They didn't even know what happened before they died. They only knew that this was the place where the Xian people's #1 supreme being was in seclusion. In the end, they encountered a powerful enemy invasion. It was too sudden. No one could have predicted that something like this would happen. A powerful enemy is invading. An expert cried out in warning. He saw the soul storm fill the sky as it rushed towards an enormous cave. It was accompanied by a figure shining with golden radiance. He held a great halberd and hacked down with force. Hong. From this moment on, the black-clothed man sitting cross-legged in the cave was no longer calm on the outside. Streak after streak of essence blood leaked out from his pores and surged into the sky. Soon, it covered the heavens like a boiling sea. How strong was this blood energy? It even formed enormous dragons in the heavens. They raised their heads one after another and roared, shaking heaven and earth. Kill! Su Yan released a long roar. His soul body flourished, turning into a Buddhist Zhang 6 golden body. He himself also seemed to be standing in the future, impervious to all methods and impervious to all tribulations. His great Tao was at an inconceivable level. His soul energy was too strong. He held the great golden halberd with both hands and hacked down with force. This attitude, this boldness, intimidated everyone. Was he going to directly hack the Xian people's number one supreme being into pieces? His essence energy was just too tyrannical. It was filled with a domineering aura of supremacy. However, the Xian people's number one supreme being was extremely cold. He sat cross-legged in the cave. Tens of thousands of layers of blood energy rushed out from his pores, similarly turning into a great halberd and slaughtering towards Su Yan. Honglong. The two halberds collided, causing resplendent light to erupt. World-shocking divine force surged, causing the river of stars to surge and the sun and moon to shake. It was a shocking scene. The two halberds also broke, and the vast rivers and mountains collapsed. An invisible energy field rushed out in all directions. Along the way, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Everything was melted into nothingness. Wherever the energy passed, the heavens and the earth were destroyed. Pooh! A large number of Xian people cultivators who had rushed to the cave abode as reinforcements were struck by the terrifying energy ripples. They were all sent flying backward, and some of them even had blood spurting out of their bodies as they died on the spot. Run! Retreat! This was definitely a struggle between the most powerful overlords. Once a great battle broke out, this entire realm would no longer exist. Many people would die. No matter who you are, you can only fulfill my wish. The number one paragon of the Xian people sat cross-legged in his immortal's cave. His eyes were wide open, and majestic ripples emanated from them. It was as if two universes had flown out to crush Su Yan's nascent divinity. Who do you think you are? Hand over your life. Su Yan roared again. A terrifying aura surged, stealing the great power of the future. The Zhang's 6 golden body shone with boundless brilliance. His palms once again turned into a golden halberd, and he furiously slashed towards the number one paragon of the Xian people. You're the one who's going to die. The number one paragon of the Xian people spoke coldly. His entire body surged with boundless essence blood, forming a shocking figure. He rushed out from the cave abode and turned into a black halberd, charging towards Su Yan. Kill! The battle for supremacy was too sudden and fierce. This also caused the entire space to change. The color of the space-time wormhole changed. A vague figure appeared, and it was quickly outlined. It seemed like he was going to replace the number one paragon of the Xian people. How is this possible? The outside world was in an uproar. The expressions of the Xian people changed greatly. What was going on? The number one paragon of the Xian people, who had the potential to become a paragon of the monarch rankings, was facing a threat for the first time in his life. Boundless waves surged, shocking the world. Someone as strong as the son of the Xian people's paragon master was only the number two paragon of the Xian people. It was easy to imagine how strong the number one paragon of the Xian people was. Currently, the successors of the major sects all wanted to challenge him. Perhaps only the most powerful person on the monarch rankings in the future would be able to fight against him. But now, his dominating space-time wormhole overflowed with divine light, surging and surging, setting off a shocking storm. They vaguely saw two figures, both about to penetrate the path to heaven. One of them had shocking chi and blood, the other had monstrous soul light. The two great experts fought against each other, clashing continuously. The world was filled with surging waves, surging violently. It was as if a tsunami had crashed into the earth, causing a commotion. It was becoming more and more frightening. It was difficult for the world to see the specific progress of their battle for supremacy, but they could see that after more than 10 collisions, the storm was completely dispersed. Just you wait, I'll come and kill you. Su Yan left. His primordial spirit had crossed over, so he couldn't fight for a long time. He could only retreat. On the contrary, the number one paragon of the Xian people struck Su Yan's primordial spirit with his qi and blood, but he didn't use his full strength. He was also clear that he couldn't keep Su Yan alive in this state. Kill me? Are you dreaming? The number one paragon of the Xian people was calm from beginning to end. He sat cross-legged in the grotto heaven like an ancient paragon, filling in the indelible traces of time. Without a doubt, he was an ancient person who had sealed himself among the Xian people for a long time. His status was frighteningly high. He was able to replace the son of the Xian people's paragon master and become the number one paragon of the Xian people. From this, one could see the extent of his nobility. Young master, who was that just now? In the distant world, a large number of Xian people's experts rushed over. This was the most powerful region occupied by the Xian people. Who would dare to attack this place? There wasn't a single person with a different surname in the entire region. This showed how important this place was to the Xian people. However, when they were about to approach the number one paragon of the Xian people, they found that the grotto heaven he was sitting in had suddenly collapsed. Even the area within a radius of 10,000 miles had been reduced to ruins. Everything was gone, and it had become a land of death. Only the number one paragon of the Xian people, Pan Zhou, was in the ruins, cold and peerless. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a cold breath of air. In such a short period of time, this small world was destroyed by a top-level battle prowess. What exactly happened? However, no one noticed that the number one paragon of the Xian people was bleeding from the corner of his mouth. Some cracks had appeared on his body. He had suffered serious internal injuries. Of course, this wasn't caused by Su Yan's attack. It was the black mist in his body that was causing trouble. It almost tore his flesh shell apart. However, the number one paragon of the Xian people was too powerful. He forcibly suppressed the black matter and stabilized his body. Did anything major happen during this time? Asked the number one paragon of the Xian people. The first time he saw Su Yan was in the golden immortal grotto of the Xian people. Now that he met him for the second time, he was much stronger than the first time. Su Yan's speed of improvement was too fast. He began to pay attention to him. The group of Xian people gritted their teeth and told him about Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King. Two small fries. There's no need to worry about them. Let Xian Kuei deal with them. The number one paragon of the Xian people didn't care. Xian Kuei was the son of the Xian people's patriarch. His combat strength was superb and could take charge alone. As for him, he disdained to participate in such low-level fights. Don't worry, young master. Our race has already started to make arrangements. In a few days we can definitely make them walk right into our trap. The group of Xian people experts was full of confidence. They felt that their plan was about to succeed. They believed that with the great fortune of the Xian people, the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun's lifespan would soon come to an end. Check how many young people with superb primordial spirits there are in the 10,000 tribes battlefield. Pay special attention to the immortal Buddhists. At this moment, the number one paragon of the Xian people's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. The Xian people experts who came here trembled. They felt that the number one paragon was about to make a move. Previously, Su Yan had made a move and evolved the Zhang 6 golden body. This was a supreme physique exclusive to Buddhists. He suspected that this person belonged to the immortal Buddhists. The immortal Buddhists were a flourishing immortal orthodoxy and belonged to the overlords of the immortal heavenly domain. However, the number one paragon of the Xian people felt that even if this person didn't belong to the immortal Buddhists, the other powers wouldn't miss this opportunity. The outside world was surging like a storm. It was very restless. After all, more than half a year had passed since the opening of the 10,000 tribes battlefield. The final battle of the top 10,000 list was approaching very soon. At present, there were almost 1,000 outstanding geniuses who illuminated the great domain. Once they dominated a seat, They would be able to receive a supreme baptism of fortune and lay a shocking foundation for the immortal Tao. Anyone would be envious. Even the strongest successors of the top immortal orthodoxies were jealous. In fact, this wasn't just the collection of fortune. It was also a symbol of glory. On this day, Su Yan was silent. His soul spirit was a little weak. However, he recovered after half a day. His frontal bone was blazing and emitting soul light, causing Su Yan's physical body to resonate with it. Roar. A deafening dragon's roar could be heard. This wasn't Su Yan's roar. Instead, it was the roar of his physical body that automatically transmitted the dragon's roar and tiger's roar. This freak has grown even stronger. Fan Jian was envious. Su Yan's primordial spirit was already freakish enough. Now that his primordial spirit had grown stronger, his physical body would also receive a baptism. If one said that the physical body was a relay station, then the gods that lived in it would also stimulate the relay station to grow stronger. This was something that everyone knew. Fan Jian also knew that ever since Su Yan passed the chaos tribulation, he hadn't cultivated seriously. Now that Su Yan's primordial spirit had grown stronger, it also stimulated Su Yan's physical body to open up for a moment. His aura surged to the top. His qi and blood were too rich. How powerful! Zhu Xing was terrified. Under the influence of Su Yan's aura, he felt exceptionally small, like an ant facing a giant dragon. This aura can suppress a third firmament true immortal. If it's combined with a true immortal puppet, he can fight a sixth firmament expert. Fan Jian was shocked. He knew that Su Yan was strong, but he didn't expect his physical body to be so ridiculous. Su Yan's qi and blood surged like an immortal god. The might of an expert surged, and could easily suppress one's soul. If I don't fight, I won't be able to get into the top 10 of the Emperor ranking. Fan Jian was silent. It was indeed difficult for him to find a match in the Sword Dao domain. However, his physical body and primordial spirit were far from Su Yan's. He was also an impressive genius. He knew very well that this gap was almost impossible to make up for. At this moment, Su Yan felt as if he was climbing the limits of life. This was the first time he had such a feeling. His life had reached its limit. Su Yan had reached the end of his cultivation, and it was difficult for him to tap into his potential. I feel like crying. I've written 10,000 words today. I clicked no to save the document, but the manuscript is gone. F***ck. I was going to write it at midnight, but I can't do it now. I'm rewriting it according to my memory. I feel like crying. Chapter 1520. Is this the limit? Su Yan murmured. His body emitted a divine radiance that radiated in all directions. Within his body, his bones were ringing, boiling with dense essence blood. His body was too powerful. He was originally a supreme treasure body, and now that his vitality had soared to the limit, once he erupted, it would be peerlessly terrifying. Su Yan's physical foundation was too domineering. It was as if a true immortal was howling here, powerful and intimidating. Just his magnificent vitality alone was enough to look down on his peers. This physical body, once it breaks through the undying shackles and steps into the true immortal realm, it will truly be terrifying. Fan Jian was speechless. Su Yan's physical foundation was too shocking. Once he broke through, it was hard to imagine how strong he would be. He would even need a huge amount of foundation to support his physical body into a true immortal body. This process would consume an astronomical number of immortal Tao stones. Without a doubt, Su Yan's accumulation was enough. When the final battle of the 10,000 tribe battlefield began, he would dominate an arena and obtain the strongest seat. Then, he would receive a supreme baptism of creation. This would be an excellent opportunity for Su Yan to quickly become stronger. He was full of anticipation. He really could not wait for this day. Boom! Su Yan's long black hair draped over his shoulders. divine light bloomed in his cold eyes. The moment the dormant primordial spirit in his sea of consciousness was revived, his entire physical body erupted. In an instant, Su Yen was completely different. He was peerless and majestic, suppressing the universe. Fan Jian's face darkened. It was truly infuriating to compare oneself to others. Half a year ago, he could still compete with Su Yen. Now that Su Yen had broken through, his physical body was still fine. His sky sword body was not inferior, but Su Yan's primordial spirit was too perverse. The seven-colored elemental immortal fruit was definitely not enough. The most important thing was that Su Yan's primordial spirit had once again merged with the white mist energy, causing his primordial spirit to be like a god patrolling the heavens with boundless divine might. With the fusion of primordial spirit and physical body, Su Yen was exceptionally powerful. He even had a feeling that it would be difficult to support the primordial spirit. His body faintly trembled, as if the vast immortal Tao primordial spirit would tear his flesh apart. This caused Su Yen to clench his fists tightly. Because his primordial spirit had absorbed a portion of the white mist's potential, his primordial spirit was now extremely powerful. Once it was unleashed, divine light would shine for 100,000 feet. It was as if a saint had descended into the world, his saintly aura overflowing the heavens. I didn't expect my strength to improve to such a level in just half a year in the 10,000 tribe battlefield. Su Yen was secretly alarmed. This was closely related to the seven-colored essence immortal fruit. Similarly, Su Yen had also transcended the chaos tribulation, raising his overall combat strength. Sempiternal realm. I've been in this realm for more than 10 years, right? Su Yen was filled with anticipation. The path to immortality was close at hand, and he would soon become one of them. Big brother, what are we going to do next? Fan Jian walked over and asked. He was determined to go out with Su Yen. Even though his improvement wasn't as shocking as Su Yan's, Fan Jian had improved quite a bit in this half a year. If he followed the routine and continued to stay in the sword tomb to reap fortune, then Fan Jian reckoned that he would be left behind by a group of people. He was very clearly aware that he would have to face too many freaks if he wanted to fight for the position of the strongest in the future. The Xian people, the Eternal Clan, the Sovereign Sect, the Underworld, the Skirich Young Master, and so on and so forth. They weren't made of paper. This clearly showed how horrifying the competition for the position of the top 10 was. Now Su Yen had appeared. If he still didn't improve, then he wouldn't have anything to do with the top 10. He possessed the heavenly sword physique of this generation, and it was the same physique as the first ancestor. He couldn't embarrass himself too much, right? Fan Jian wasn't an arrogant person. He was very clearly aware of how terrifying those people were. Even Su Yen would probably suffer a loss if he encountered them. Have you thought it through? Su Yen frowned. Fan Jian was the sword sect's holy son. Once his identity was exposed, the implications would be too great. It wouldn't just be the enmity between Su Yen and the Xian people. It would also include the Celestial Court. Some ancient orthodoxies didn't want the Celestial Court to rise. They also didn't want to see any of the clans get close to him. Fan Jian was silent. Although he was apprehensive of the sword sect, he still gritted his teeth and said, "There's nothing to be afraid of. Our sword sect's first ancestor also killed his way out of thousands of geniuses. I, Fan Jian, am in a much better situation than our first ancestor. The 10,000 clans battlefield is a place for the younger generation to fight for supremacy. If we don't fight for anything, what qualifications do we have to aim for the top 10 of the Emperor rankings? Then come with me. Let's go out and see what's going on in the outside world." Su Yen smiled and welcomed Fan Jian's addition. With such a powerful fighter and the little white dragon's strength, their combination was relatively freakish. Moreover, they also had the immortal Tao realm puppet. Right now, they were still in the territory of the uncanny craftsmanship sect. The Xian people had lost more than a dozen puppets. Coupled with the incident of the heavenly craftsmanship furnace, the major territory was still in an uproar. The Xian people were furious. They deployed a large number of people to search for Su Yan all over the world. What shocked the world was that the Xian people now had a sixth heaven true immortal expert. This was truly shocking. Just how much resources and price had they spent to nurture a sixth celestial layer expert in just half a year? Everyone knew that in the true immortal realm, it was extremely difficult to progress in every small realm. It could easily take hundreds of years. The Xian people must have a peak true immortal who killed himself and entered the 10,000 clans battlefield. That's why they could cultivate to the sixth heaven true immortal realm in such a short time. No matter how much resources the Xian people have, it's impossible for them to reach the sixth heaven true immortal level in such a short time. A peak true immortal must have killed himself. Fan Jian was shocked. He wondered how many of these people had come. A sixth heaven true immortal expert was incredible. He could kill a young false immortal in one move. A peak true immortal killed himself? Su Yan's eyes were cold. If he killed this kind of person, the Xian people would be heartbroken. This was the most powerful expert of the Xian people. Even if the Xian people were rich and powerful, there were only a limited number of such people. The three of them quickly approached the ancient city of the major territory. They were ready to gather information. There were rumors everywhere in the city. In the past 10 days, the Xian people had caused more and more trouble. Have the Xian people gone crazy? Fan Jian was shocked. They attacked the Danzong? The Danzong has a high status in the undying heavenly domain. Their 9th grade great-grandmaster is very influential. They're not a force to be trifled with. Although the Xian people are strong and can bully the Danzong, the consequences of doing so are very serious. Su Yan's face darkened. Liang Yan was in the Danzong. He couldn't help but think. I hope things aren't too bad. He was gathering information in the city. The tens of thousands of ancient cities in the undying heavenly domain were connected. The reward related to Xia Kunlun was already suffocating, the expensive 180,000 gene of immortal Dao stones, making even Fan Jian's eyes turn red. He said, with such a great reward, it really is incredible. Even I want to become Xia Kunlun to receive the reward. In another major territory far away from here. It was a resource land of Danzong. It was rich in medicinal herbs. But the atmosphere here was not calm. Killing intent filled the air. The Xian people's army was attacking this resource land. The aura they emitted made the Danzong's true immortals feel depressed. The Xian people's army was huge. Did they want to eat them all in one go? There were several false immortals in the lead, and there were even 6th-stage true immortals. They gave the Danzong experts a sense of pressure. Although the Xian people and Danzong had not fought to the death yet. But the Xian people kept invading their resource mystic realms and eyeing them covetously. This made the Danzong feel uneasy. Bastards! The Xian people are too much. The Danzong experts were furious. The Xian people kept coming to make trouble and caused the Danzong to suffer heavy losses. They even stole a few immortal herbs. The Danzong higher-ups were also furious. The Xian people attacking the Danzong's resource mystic realms was tantamount to declaring war on the entire Danzong. In the depths of the resource mystic realms, the atmosphere was especially tense. Someone's face was red as he scolded a woman and asked her to get out. What kind of power are the Xian people? The Danzong can't afford to offend them. The higher-ups didn't give any orders. It's obvious that the higher-ups can't make a decision on this matter. The Danzong can't become enemies with the Xian people because of a woman. Liang Yan, you still have the face to stay here? Don't you know how much Danzong has suffered during this period? I didn't expect you to be from the Celestial Court. You hid it too well. Why did you come to the Danzong? Tell me. The harsh voices pierced Liang Yan's heart. She looked at these sisters and even brothers who were close to her. Now, they were standing up in large numbers to criticize her. Some of them even couldn't help but attack her. Liang Yan's status in the Danzong was very high. She was also the personal disciple of Dan Tianyuan. But now she was in a difficult situation. Don't go too far. Of course, there was also a group of young men and women who chose to stand beside Liang Yan. They were very close to Liang Yan and had always taken care of this junior sister who had joined the sect for several years. Until now, there was no exception. The Xian people have already attacked the Danzong. They are doing whatever they want and trampling on the dignity of the Danzong. How can you still be in the mood for internal strife? Besides, what does this have to do with Liang Yan? Our patriarch Dan Tianyuan already knew her identity. She didn't deliberately hide it. That's right. Our junior sister came from the Xianwang universe, not the celestial court. Someone said angrily, the Xian people have gone too far. They want to ride on the Danzong's head. If we hand our junior sister over, the Danzong will have no face to walk in the outside world in the future. We will always be inferior to others. This is not internal strife. This is cleaning up the traitors. Besides, if we don't say anything, who would know that Liang Yan is a disciple of the Danzong? A man with a cold and arrogant aura walked over. He was the top hollow immortal Dan Huayu of the Danzong. He pointed at Liang Yan and said, besides, such a big thing has happened. Why didn't Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King come out? I think they have already escaped. The Xian people are serious. The Danzong can't take the risk for your crimes. So, please leave. Dan Huayu, don't go too far. A young hollow immortal from the Danzong was furious. He shouted, I know you are close to Xian Bailing. I know you are not happy that the woman you have been chasing was captured alive, but you, Dan Huazi, you are too presumptuous. I am your senior brother. How can you talk to me like this? I think you have been bewitched by the remnants of the celestial court. Dan Huayu was furious. This sentence hurt him and made him lose face. Dan Huazi's skin was dark and he was tall and burly. His eyes were burning with fire. Although his alchemy skills were not high, his fire control skills were extremely powerful. The Danzong was not only an alchemist, but also an expert who was skilled in the fire Dao. Dan Huayu. Dan Huazi was so angry that he laughed. Ever since my junior sister joined the Danzong, you have been making things difficult for her. You are worried that she will replace you in the future. Anyway, I don't care what your goal is. If you want to push my junior sister into the fire pit, I will not allow it. Bullshit. Dan Huayu exploded. He rushed over and said angrily, I will suppress you, and I will drive this remnant away. The Danzong will not start a war with the Xian people because of her. You want to suppress me? You are dreaming. Dan Huazi sneered. The Danzong is not as good as the Xian people, but we will not allow the Xian people to trample on the dignity of the Danzong. I will not drag the Danzong into this. Liang Yan's expression was gloomy. She had joined the Danzong for many years, and she had a strong sense of belonging to the Danzong. But now, so many Danzong disciples wanted her to leave. Although Liang Yan was sad, she knew that the Danzong could not win against the Xian people. But if I am taken away by the Xian people, she was terrified. If the Xian people used her to threaten the celestial court, and the Yuan brothers jumped out one after another, things would be very bad. No, even if I die, I will not fall into the hands of the Xian people. A resolute look flashed through her eyes, and her eyes became slightly misty. A person's figure appeared in her mind, and she weakly muttered in a voice that she could only hear, but I still want to see if he's still alive. Chapter 15:21. Su Yan waited anxiously in the ancient city. He didn't know how things were progressing. The 10,000 tribe battlefield was too big. It was a big problem to travel to the secret realms in Danzong in a short time. Now that the situation was changing rapidly, he could only gather information in the ancient city. If the Xian people really wanted to force him to come out, they would definitely release the news. However, what Su Yan did not expect was that on the second day, shocking news would spread to this place. Big news! The Xian people once again attacked the secret realms in Danzong. Blood has been spilled. They even announced that if the surviving members of the Celestial Court don't hand over the remaining members of the Celestial Court, they will uproot all the foundations of Danzong in the immortal celestial domain. Wow! The entire city was in an uproar, causing a huge commotion. Although the news was ridiculous, it was also a hot topic in the city. Was this going to be a war between the orthodoxies? This matter was getting serious. Since the Xian people had made the announcement, they wouldn't let it go so easily. After all, they had caused a huge commotion in the past 10 days. They wouldn't stop until they achieved their goal. The surviving members of the Celestial Court are in Danzong? How is this possible? How could Danzong be related to the Celestial Court? Did the Xian people make a mistake? Some people were shocked. They felt that the Xian people were looking for an excuse to attack Danzong. Some people felt that this matter was most likely true. Otherwise, the Xian people wouldn't be so careless to attack Danzong. After all, the situation of this sect was special. Even the Xian people would often ask the Xian people's alchemists to refine level 9 elixir pills. Now that the Xian people had made the announcement, it was tantamount to declaring war on Danzong. This meant that they had solid evidence and sufficient reason to attack. The surviving members of the Celestial Court. Su Yan clenched his fists tightly. His blood was boiling with anger. This matter was definitely caused by the Celestial Bamboo sect. Back then, Song Tian recognized Liang Yan at a glance in the pill refining grounds of Fire Dragon City. Even though Su Yan had gotten rid of Song Tian, there were still a few elders from the Sky Bamboo branch who had survived. They also knew about this matter. Sky Bamboo branch, I didn't go looking for you, but you actually dared to make trouble for me and stab me in the back. Su Yan's eyes were filled with killing intent. His heart was boiling with rage. He could not wait to kill his way to the Heavenly Bamboo sect and kill all their hollow immortals. They've gone too far. Zhu Xing was also furious. Remnants of the Celestial Court? These few words also stung Zhu Xing. They were all from the Black-Yellow universe, and they regarded the Black-Yellow universe as their home. They loved and protected it. Similarly, the mysterious Yellow universe was also the Celestial Court. However, the Xian people now saw them as remnants of evil. Who is making a ruckus in the city? Release your killing intent. This city was also guarded by experts from the Xian people. Even though the Xian people controlled the 3 ancient cities, they also wanted to take over the ancient city of the Unholy Crafts sect. However, there were also several immortal orthodoxies who coveted this ancient city. Everyone wanted to take over this city. Moreover, the Xian people had taken over 3 ancient cities in a row. Their military strength was limited, and it was difficult for them to control this ancient city. For now, this city was jointly controlled by several major forces, and the entrance fees and shop rental fees were divided. At this moment, a group of people from the Xian people stepped forward and stared at Su Yan's group. This attracted everyone's attention. Many people looked at Su Yan's group and felt that something was wrong with their aura. There was killing intent leaking out, and it was not concealed at all. This shocked them. Who were these people? Violence was prohibited in the ancient city. Hee, are there still people who sympathize with the remnants of the Celestial Court? Someone laughed. A young man from the Xian people stepped forward. Although he was not a virtual immortal prodigy, he had an extraordinary aura and a noble status. He waved at Su Yan and said, "You, come here, come here." He was very arrogant. He waved his hand and asked Su Yan to come over to talk. The atmosphere on the street was a little cold. Unexpectedly, Su Yan strode forward without any hesitation. Fan Jian was amused. He thought that this group of people was too unlucky. They bumped into the young Devil King here, and even asked him to go over directly? Were they inviting the King of Hell? You are really obedient. The young man from the Cien people smiled brightly and said, Tell me, why are you releasing killing intent? Are you sympathizing with the remnants of the Celestial Court? Or do you have other motives? Remnants of the Celestial Court? Su Yan's steps were heavy, and his long black hair fell down. His cold eyes blazed as he stared at the young man and said, When was the Celestial Court destroyed? You. The young man from the Cien people's face was gloomy. He glared at Su Yan and shouted, Who are you? How dare you speak for the Celestial Court? Boom! Before he could finish his words, Su Yan had already closed in. He raised his big hand and stabbed forward with a divine spear that was formed from the energy of order. Boom! This attack was too fast and terrifying. There was also the sound of thunder. It was as if a bolt of lightning had torn the sky apart. It was filled with a murderous aura. It was impossible to see its trajectory with the naked eye. Then, blood spurted out and broken bones sputtered. You, the young man from the Cien people, raised his hand and pointed at Su Yan. Then, he looked at the spear that pierced through his chest. Has the Celestial Court been destroyed? Su Yan sneered and said, No. Since you Cien people think that the Celestial Court has been destroyed, then I will now clear the name of the Celestial Court. As long as there is one person in the Celestial Court alive, it will always be there, forever. Su Yan's blood was boiling with rage, stimulating his body to blaze. The moment the divine power stored in his body went berserk, a terrifying aura filled the air and swept across the entire city, causing the heroes to go limp and fall to the ground. The young man from the Cien people was desperate and terrified. He could not see anything. He could only see a high and mighty figure issuing a death sentence to him. He did not even have time to cry out in pain. His whole body exploded into a cloud of blood. Who did this? What is he talking about? Is he an expert from the Celestial Court? Is he going to clear the name of the Celestial Court? The entire city was in an uproar. Many people were stunned. Another person had appeared. Who was he? The one who was killed was a young expert from the Cien people. Although he was not a true immortal, he had a dignified appearance and must have a high status among the Cien people. But he was killed just like that. B** starred. In an instant, more than a dozen Cien people cultivators were furious. Their eyes were bloodshot, and their eyeballs were about to pop out. They were like a pack of mad lions. Even their mounts were neighing and emitting flames of anger. Killing a young Cien people on the street was a provocation to the entire Cien people. Kill him, dead or alive. Kill him. More than a dozen powerful knights charged forward. The iron cavalry shattered the void. Their spirits were exceptionally strong. The atmosphere in the entire city was exceptionally tense. No one spoke. No one spoke. The aura of these dozen Cien people knights grew stronger and stronger. In the end, it swept over like a vast torrent. At first, they thought that this person was going to be unlucky, but the next scene made their hearts jump and their guts burst. Su Yan's majestic appearance was awe-inspiring. His hair danced in the wind. His aura suddenly grew stronger. His chi and blood were golden. He was like an indestructible god walking in the mortal world, creating an energy storm that filled the sky. Get out of my way! Su Yan roared. His aura was too wild. In an instant, his roar caused the entire city to tremble. The surrounding cultivators trembled in fear and retreated in large groups. This roar was too violent. It had shaken their chi and blood, making them unable to stand steadily. Who's there? The true immortals in the city were frightened. This young man's aura could swallow the stars. His roar caused the surroundings to tremble. His tongue battled with the sound of thunder, and golden ripples gushed out from his mouth and nose, sweeping forward like a vast ocean. Large swathes of immortal tribe cultivators, including their mounts, were destroyed and exploded into bloody light. Roar! The fierce roar was once again brewing and surging. The 3 half-step true immortals opposite him all screamed miserably. Blood flowed out of their 7 orifices, and their bodies rotted. Crazy. In the next moment, everyone in the city was horrified. Was this a young supreme being? He killed more than 10 Xian people's knights with a roar. He was completely pushing through dry weeds. He even charged forward. His goal was very simple. He wanted to destroy the leading true immortal expert. How dare you? Give me your life. The Xian people's level 3 true immortal was furious. He killed more than 10 Xian people's knights with a roar. This was trampling on the dignity of the Xian people. Boom! The Xian people's true immortal aura erupted. The energy in their bodies surged, accompanied by the eruption of true immortal laws. His aura stood at its peak like lightning. At the same time, he took out an immortal Dao secret treasure and suppressed Su Yan. Crack! However, what shocked him was that Su Yan directly waved his large hand and destroyed the immortal Dao secret treasure with a slap. The people in the city were stunned. What kind of body was this? Could it be a supreme treasure body? Otherwise, he wouldn't be so violent as to destroy the immortal Dao's secret treasure with a slap, right? Su Yan's body was so tough that there were only a few in the entire undying heavenly realm who could match it. You're the one who's going to die. Su Yan strode forward. He also wanted to see how strong a level 3 true immortal was. His murderous aura surged into the sky. He stepped on the corpses on the ground, and cold lightning shot out from his eyes. This is ridiculous. The Xian people's true immortal was furious. After all, he was a level 3 true immortal. Now, a false immortal wanted to kill him? How ridiculous! His entire body erupted with raging flames, and his aura continuously increased. In his peak state, he continuously constructed great divine abilities to stop Su Yan. At the same time, he also had to buy time for reinforcements to arrive as soon as possible and suppress this person, because he felt that this person might be the one the Xian people were looking for. Kill! Su Yan roared and rushed forward. It was as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. He unleashed his robbery Dao secret technique, initial fist, and sword body technique. This was very terrifying. This was Su Yan's strongest state. His aura was pushed to the peak, and the majesty of an expert was as strong as the sea. Are you Xia Kunlun or the young Devil King? The Xian people's true immortal was shocked. He defended with several divine skills, but he couldn't block the violent Su Yan at all. The immortal Dao order in the sky was about to break through. He was frightened and also felt that it was inconceivable. He could even suppress a level 3 true immortal. What kind of opportunity did he have in the past half a year? How could he be so strong? So strong. Fan Jian wiped the sweat off his forehead. He had underestimated Su Yan. He was even more frightening than he had expected. All kinds of divine skills were released, and Su Yan's battle prowess was enough to suppress a level 3 true immortal. Of course, the main reason was that Su Yan's primordial spirit was too powerful. In the void immortal state, the aura of an expert swept out like a sea, surging with vast blood essence fluctuations. It was quite freakish. Xian people, you're forcing me to kill. Su Yan roared angrily, raising his fist and punching out. So what if you're a true immortal? Su Yan's fist was domineering. The river of stars trembled, and the sun and moon trembled. No! This true immortal roared out. A terrifying fist was closing in, smashing over like a giant comet, leaving him in despair. This fist destroyed all immortal Dao order and divine skills, directly smashing into his chest. He cried out miserably. His chest was cracking, his bones exploding one by one, and thick blood flowed out. One had to understand that this was a level 3 true immortal. No matter how strong Su Yan was, he was only a void immortal. But he went against the flow, and a true immortal was beaten into despair by a single fist. I won't forgive you. Su Yan's hair danced in the wind, his eyes blazing, and killing intent overflowed into the sky. Ah! The true immortal's body was in tatters, and his primordial spirit light was shattered. He went on the road in pain, collapsing into a bloody light. Su Yan didn't stop. He charged toward the uncanny crafts sect, wanting to kill everyone in the resource land. Su Yan couldn't just sit and wait. He had to attack. He didn't believe that he couldn't subdue the Xian people here. What a hot-tempered person! Fan Jian howled and followed Su Yan as he madly charged forward. The people in the city were petrified, they were stunned. They didn't expect to meet a legendary figure. Both Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King were ferocious enough. He killed a true immortal of the Xian people in the city, then turned around and charged toward the uncanny crafts sect. The world was shocked, and many people chased after him. In the end, in less than half an hour, in the distant world, sand and stones flew, ghosts cried, and gods howled. The energy waves were too intense. Blood was pouring down in torrents. The gods and devils were withering. The three top experts fought in the sky and attacked a large number of immortal Dao experts who rushed out of the resource land. The thunderous attack caused a terrible disaster. Chapter 1522. Wu Wu. The vast heaven and earth world was originally clear and peaceful. But now, the blood-colored wind was blowing, and dense blood-colored light bloomed, dyeing the clouds in the sky red. Heaven and earth, an expanse of dark red appeared before everyone's eyes, making them shiver inwardly. The flowing energy waves were too violent, and the smell of blood filled the sky. It was obvious that a terrible battle had taken place. The uncanny divine crafts sect was one of the most powerful creation lands at this stage. It had not calmed down for more than half a year. Now, a large-scale battle broke out here again, and the mighty blood-colored light surged toward the space-time wormhole. The commotion was too frightening. It was as if a peak-killing formation had bloomed and was harvesting human lives. Before this, Su Yan had swept through this resource mystic realm, causing the Xian people to deploy a large number of troops, mainly to search for Xia Kunlun's whereabouts. Now, a great battle had erupted. Su Yan was furious and wanted to go on a killing spree. In this battle, more and more troops were involved in the Xian people. But no one expected that Su Yan still had 3 experts with him. Fan Jian and Zhu Xing both used true immortal puppets, and Little White Dragon's combat power was not much. In this battle, blood burned the sky, and the sky was filled with blood. Kill, leave no one alive. Su Yan's blood boiled with anger. He went on a killing spree, and his aura grew stronger. He even took out the immortal slaying sword and killed until corpses were strewn everywhere, and blood flowed like a river. The Xian people's actions had angered Su Yan. Su Yan could not sit and wait. He was responding to the Xian people. He was not to be trifled with. He wanted to stop killing with killing, and tell the world that the celestial court was still around. In the 10,000 tribe battlefield, no one could bully the celestial court. What happened outside the 10,000 tribe battlefield? Many people noticed that a large-scale bloody battle had broken out in a space-time wormhole. There were heavy casualties, and it led to the shocking scene of blood-colored light piercing through the space-time wormhole. Even among them, there was a figure standing on top of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, surging with the most terrifying king's aura and sweeping through the enemies. The more he fought, the stronger he became. In the end, his aura engulfed the starry skies. Without a doubt, he was illuminated by the great region, revealing the heroic appearance of a cold, demonic god. He overlooked the entire great region and declared himself the ruler of the world. Kill! Su Yan's roar was like a thunderclap from the 9 heavens. His hands formed the Dragon-Tiger Divine escape technique, and he descended from the sky. The galaxy behind him was vast and mighty, and the universe trembled. His aura was boundless and terrifying. How terrifying! Many people couldn't take it anymore. That person pushed heaven and earth, as if the heavens were collapsing. It was also like a tsunami crashing into the earth, creating a scene of destruction. This scene stunned everyone. Their eyes were filled with shock as they looked at the domineering war god descending to the lower realm. Good kill, Fan Jian roared. He felt that Su Yan had really gone mad. In the past, when he overturned the Xian people's resource lands, he was still holding back. The current him was completely unscrupulous, using bloody means to slaughter his enemies. A large number of Xian people's cultivators were crushed. Even the light of their souls was extinguished. Ordinary true immortals would find it difficult to withstand Su Yan's barbaric combat strength. The aura descending from the sky was too shocking. There was no place for them to stand. Moreover, terrifying soul flames were released during the process. This made the heroes despair. They felt that Xia Kunlun was much stronger than before. His combat strength was terrifying. Even if he didn't use his true immortal puppet, he could still destroy the entire battlefield. Su Yan's blood-stained hair danced wildly. His terrifying aura shot into the heavens and then descended. It was like the Milky Way pouring down from the 9 heavens, killing everyone. The Xian people suffered a crushing defeat. They were wailing like ghosts and howling like gods on the other side, although Fan Jian had concealed his own aura, with his combat strength and sword arts. Who could stand against him? Kill! Ha ha, all of you die! You self-proclaimed noble Xian people, Grandpa Zhu Xing is also a true immortal now. Zhu Xing roared. When he thought of the ancestral hall and the people who had been enslaved for 1,000,000 years, his heart was filled with pain and hatred. For a long time they had regarded their ancestors as their ancestors. In the end, they were no better than pigs and dogs. Zhu Xing was now the most powerful person in the ancestral hall. Now he was furious. He merged with his puppet and killed without mercy. Bastard! In the outside world, some continents shook violently. The sun and moon wailed. This was a big shot going crazy. The Immortal Path powerhouses released cold killing intent that affected the entire continent, causing the world to collapse. It's the Uncanny Crafts sect again? Who's going on a killing spree? Do they want to die? It's him. If it's not Xia Kunlun, it's the young Devil King. Heavens, what are they trying to do? They're attacking the Xian people again. The whole world was in an uproar. This was a shocking event. Originally, they thought that Su Yan would lay low for a while after causing such a big commotion. But who would have thought that he would directly attack and massacre the Xian people's resource secret realms? The Xian people's ancestors were furious. Their eyes were red as they said angrily, "If we don't kill this person, where will the dignity of our race be? Send my order. I want to see Xia Kunlun's corpse in 10 days. Otherwise, everyone will be severely punished." The Xian people's upper echelons were furious. This was a great humiliation. Neither of these people had been killed so far. Even the Xian people's resource secret realms had been damaged by them. If they couldn't solve this, would the Xian people still be the Xian people now? They were destined to lose face. Ha ha ha, very good, very good. Zhu Lihui, who was in charge of the Sky Bamboo lineage, sneered. Just as I expected, this madman couldn't help but make his move. Now that the immortals are covered in dry firewood, a single ball of fire can ignite a raging inferno. Zhu Lihui was the one who told the Xian people about Liang Yan. Now that the Xian people had suffered a great loss again, the Xian people would definitely attack to suppress Liang Yan and force Su Yan to come out. In Zhu Lihui's opinion, Su Yan was only alive now because they couldn't find any trace of him. Since he had taken the initiative to come out now, it was definitely not the end, but the beginning. He was looking forward to the Xian people's young supreme masters attacking and suppressing Su Yan and the young Devil King. Maybe Fan Jian is among them. The people of the Sword sect were in a heavy mood. A few helpers had appeared around Su Yan. Was Fan Jian among them? The bloody battle in the space-time wormhole didn't last too long. However, the Xian people's casualties were too heavy. Corpses were everywhere. It was simply purgatory on Earth. The onlookers were terrified. This was a supreme demon king who killed without restraint. The entire resource land was overturned. Only a few people escaped. The resource land was littered with corpses. A few figures were reflected in the light. They were like blood-colored gods and demons, standing proudly. Big news! The young Devil King and Xia Kunlun have attacked again. They have wiped out the Xian people's resource land. A large number of genuine immortals have died. The shocking news once again swept through the 10,000 tribe battlefield. No one expected Su Yan to respond in such a manner. When the Xian people got the news, a large number of experts gathered and rushed over. However, it was too late. Su Yan had already left. The young Devil King, Xia Kunlun. If we don't kill him, how will our clan's face be? A group of genuine immortals roared. Their killing intent soared into the sky. 2 genuine immortal experts of the 6th heaven came. They were like immortal dragons that rushed over. However, they didn't find any trace of Su Yan at all. The Xian people also didn't expect Su Yan to attack here. It was completely beyond their expectations. They originally thought that Su Yan would rush all the way to the Danzong resource land and take Liang Yan away. However, things were completely different from what they had imagined. The Xian people's ambush didn't work at all. No need to show mercy. Directly suppress the remaining members of the Celestial Court. Ask Xia Kunlun to come out and ransom them. The clan has given a death order. We must suppress the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun. Otherwise, we will be severely punished. The remaining members of the Celestial Court want to turn things around? It's impossible. No need to show mercy. The commotion caused by this matter was even more shocking. The final battle of the 10,000 races battlefield hadn't even begun, but such a big event had already happened. Who in the past would dare to launch such a fierce attack against an immortal sect? However, Su Yan had done it. He became the focus of attention and caused a commotion. However, not long after, another shocking news swept through the entire 10,000 races battlefield, causing a great commotion. The number 1 supreme of the Xian people had made his move. He had fought against the young supreme of the immortal Buddhist sect. This was a very serious matter. The immortal Buddhist sect was not an ordinary power. They could be ranked among the top 10 immortal sects of the immortal heavenly domain. The result shocked the world. The number 1 supreme of the Xian people was peerlessly powerful. He chased the young supreme of the immortal Buddhist sect for millions of li and sank the boundless mountain range. The legendary Xian people has made his move. I wonder how great his background is. The number 2 supreme of the Xian people is the son of the sect leader. However, even with his powerful bloodline and status, he didn't obtain the title of number 1 supreme. It's said that the young supreme of the immortal Buddhist sect was defeated. Although he didn't die in battle, it's enough to prove how terrifying the young supreme of the Xian people is. In the future, he will definitely have a place in the top 3 of the monarch rankings. The commotion caused by this matter was especially shocking. What were the Xian people doing? Why did they provoke the immortal Buddhist sect? What? The young supreme of the immortal Buddhist sect was defeated? Fan Jian was shocked. Although he had never met this person, he was very clear about the prosperity of the immortal Buddhist sect. Then how powerful was the number 1 supreme of the Xian people? I heard that the number 1 supreme of the Xian people refined an 8th grade life essence evolution liquid at the immortal realm. At this moment, Zhu Xing spoke. His words made Fan Jian dumbstruck. His whole body was emitting cold air. 8th grade life essence evolution liquid? Fan Jian felt a headache. His breathing was heavy and he was about to go crazy. As the number 1 of the Sword Sect, he had also obtained a 7th grade life essence evolution liquid. Of course, he knew that the 7th grade was the limit for the immortal realm. It was very difficult to completely absorb and refine higher-grade evolution liquid. However, the young Supreme of the Cien people had obtained an 8th-grade life essence evolution liquid. Were they crazy? How much did the Cien people value this person? They were even willing to let him use an 8th-grade life essence evolution liquid at the immortal realm. Were they going to cultivate him like a Supreme on the Monarch rankings? 8th grade, Su Yen was speechless. This was a little ridiculous. Now, he was gathering information in some ancient cities. Su Yen didn't know where Liang Yan was. At the same time, he knew that even if he found Liang Yan, it would be very difficult to bring him out. He could only pin his hopes on Danzong. He hoped that Danzong could withstand the pressure from the Cien people. I'm being led by the nose by the Cien people now. I'm so frustrated. A cold light flashed in Su Yan's eyes. He was more and more furious with the heavenly bamboo lineage. They had used all kinds of methods to deal with him. Big news. The young Supreme of the Cien people fought the young Supreme of the Immortal tribe. After a bloody battle, he won. However, the next day, another piece of news swept across the battlefield like a vast flood. The young Supreme of the Immortal tribe was also defeated. The whole world was shocked. The Immortal tribe of the Supreme Treasure Body clan, whose immortal golden body was known as the toughest body in the Treasure Body series, was defeated. The world was shocked. How strong was the young Supreme of the Cien people? What was he trying to do? He attacked the young Supreme of the various immortal sects one after another. Was he plotting against the Supreme of the Monarch rankings? Even the Immortal tribe was defeated. How shocking! Fan Jian's heart was heavy. The supreme physique of the Immortal tribe was suppressed by the Cien people's Supreme. How strong was the body of the Cien people's Supreme? Was he already invincible in all major fields? However, the young Supreme of the Cien people was extremely disappointed. He couldn't find the material master. Who was he? You've really hidden yourself well. But you can't hide for long. The young Supreme of the Cien people had not calmed down. He said coldly, I hope I won't be too disappointed when we meet. Chapter 1523. The first young Supreme being of the Cien people had challenged the strongest successors of various immortal sects, which had caused a huge commotion. Originally, the world had regarded the first young Supreme being of the Cien people as one of the top 10 on the Monarch ranking. As for whether he had the combat strength of the top 3, that would depend on the future. It seemed that things were different now. If he could become one of the top 3, he would be an incredible figure in the future. Of course, it was still too early to talk about it now. The Monarch rankings ultimate competition had started, and it would have to wait until the end of the competition. However, before the competition started, the first young Supreme being of the Cien people had already caused such a huge commotion. It was indeed a shocking battle. Those who were laughing at the Cien people all shut up. Invisibly, a terrifying aura swept across the battlefield. The first young Supreme being of the Cien people had made his move one after another, which confirmed his invincible status. On the contrary, the Cien people, who had suffered a series of setbacks in recent days, were once again glorified. The first young Supreme being of the Cien people. Su Yen guessed that the first young Supreme being of the Cien people had made his move because of him. It was very likely that the first young Supreme being of the immortal sex was looking for him among the enemies. At this moment, Su Yen knew very well that they would encounter each other sooner or later. Once they did, it would be a battle of life and death. Our race has been glorious since ancient times. Who can fight against our first young Supreme being? The Cien people had lost a lot of face a few days ago, but these days the whole race was in an uproar. Someone stood out and laughed sinisterly. Little Xia Kunlun and the young demon king only did some dirty things. What a joke! Our first young Supreme being has defeated the strongest successors of the immortal sects in succession. How glorious and legendary this is! Hee hee, the young demon king and Xia Kunlun? What can they do in front of our first young supreme being? Yeah, our first young supreme being didn't take them seriously at all. Otherwise, the young demon king and Xia Kunlun would have been dead already. He didn't even bother to attack them. Xian people's powerhouses stood out one after another to belittle Xia Kunlun and the young demon king. Their mocking voices echoed in many ancient cities. Someone even sneered, "Xia Kunlun and the young demon king are nothing. Can he be compared to the young supremes of my race? Don't compare any Tom, Dick, or Harry with our supremes. We Xian people can't afford to lose face like this." Xian people appeared in some ancient cities and said a lot of unpleasant things. The celestial court is in trouble. Many people had mixed feelings. They had originally wanted to see the birth of a young supreme being from the celestial court. But now, it seemed that the first supreme being of the Xian people would never allow the celestial court to rise to prominence. They admitted that Xia Kunlun and the young devil king were powerful. They were famous experts in the 10,000 races battlefield. But in reality, in terms of brilliance and glory, there was a huge gap between him and the #1 supreme martial artist of the Xian people. I think the young demon king will eventually fight to the death with the second supreme being of the Xian people. Someone said, that year, the young demon king set a trap in the ruins of the celestial court and killed hundreds of top experts of the Xian people. They were all the subordinates of the Xian people's sect leader. Although the Flame Emperor organization took action, the instigator of that incident was still the young demon king. That's right. The second supreme being of the Xian people is the son of the Xian people's sect leader. He won't spare the young demon king. I think he will take action when the top 10,000 list competition starts. The entire 10,000 races battlefield was not calm. Recently, several major events had caused a huge uproar. Many people wanted to see a bloody battle between the descendants of the once glorious celestial court and the Xian people. What would it be like when the most powerful experts of the younger generation of the celestial court fought? Everyone was looking forward to it. Big brother, the Xian people really want to skin you alive now. All over the world the storm was raging. In this critical moment, Su Yan was still exploring some secret realms in Danzong as if nothing had happened. Fan Jian couldn't help but remind him, I think the Xian people's higher-ups have given a death order. They will dig you out at all costs. Although the people of the Celestial Court are in Danzong, can you guarantee that Danzong will hand her over to you and completely enrage the Xian people? Su Yan's heart was heavy. He knew that Dan Tianyuan valued Liang Yan. However, Dan Tianyuan didn't have the final say in Danzong. He was worried about Liang Yan. As long as Liang Yan was in Danzong, he would be led by the nose by the Xian people. I really want to hear the news of the Xian people taking Liang Yan away and forcing me to take action. Su Yan's eyes shone with cold light. He had to cut the Gordian knot. Fan Jian was silent. He knew that Su Yan was bold, but he did not expect that he would dare to barge into a dragon's lair. In fact, Fan Jian also knew that the hatred between the Celestial Court and the Xian people was hard to resolve. If Su Yan didn't go to them, the Xian people would come to him. In short, he wouldn't sit and wait. He would take action if he could. On this day, Su Yan approached a large resource secret realm in Danzong. The moment he got close, he steadied himself. His eyes shone as he stared at the huge resource land in front of him. The resource secret realm looked peaceful. However, under the illumination of Su Yan's eye of heaven, some vague array patterns appeared. They were densely packed and there were no less than 100 of them. Could she be here? Murderous intent surged in his heart. However, as he looked deeper, Su Yan was confused. He didn't see any Danzong disciples in this resource secret realm. An isn't here. Su Yan frowned. It seemed that the celestial race was waiting for him with such a huge lineup. He wouldn't put himself in danger. It was more important to find Liang Yan now. However, he had explored almost all of the resource secret realms in Danzong. He still couldn't find any trace of Liang Yin. Then there was only one answer. Liang Yin must have been taken away by the Xian people. Su Yan's eyes shone coldly. He believed that with his mystic arts, he could find out clearly that Liang Yin wasn't here at all. This area was an inescapable trap. The Xian people's army was gathered here. All kinds of killing arrays were arranged densely. Once Su Yan broke in, he would definitely be attacked by the Xian people. However, Su Yan didn't plan to break in. He had to hide some of his strength so that he could make a move at the critical moment. It's been a few days, but no one has come. Is Xia Kunlun a coward? Does he not dare to come? Or is that woman not important to him at all? While Su Yan was exploring this area, a voice came and attracted Su Yan's attention. That shouldn't be the case. Otherwise, Xia Kunlun wouldn't have attacked the uncanny divine crafts sect. That woman is imprisoned there. I believe Xia Kunlun will definitely come back. Let's be prepared. As long as he is willing to come, we will suppress him directly. Su Yan was shocked. Liang Yin was here? However, he couldn't find any trace of her at all after searching several times. He lurked near the resource secret realm and waited patiently. Soon, he realized that something was wrong. The Xian people gathered here were talking loudly, as if they were deliberately talking to him. They are deliberately luring me in. Su Yan snorted. The Xian people knew that he was a grandmaster of the occult arts, but they definitely didn't know that he had the heaven-opening writing brush. With the foundation of the Xian people's power in the 10,000 tribe battlefield, it was impossible for them to set up a secret realm that could hide from Su Yan's exploration. Su Yan waited patiently. Sure enough, 3 days later, this group of Xian people experts who were talking loudly gradually lost their confidence. Bastard, he doesn't dare to come. We've been waiting for a few days. If he could come, he would have come long ago. I think that our young Supreme Master's sudden attack scared Xia Kunlun and forced him to not dare to come out at all. In any case, let's wait a little longer. We Xian people can't go back on our words about what we discussed with Danzong. Let's wait a little longer and hope that a miracle will happen. Alas, the higher-ups have said that Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King will be arrested within 10 days, but we haven't even found their shadows yet. 10 days will pass very quickly. The group of Xian people experts were discussing. Although their voices were low, Su Yan still heard everything. His expression was slightly cold. Could it be that Danzong had handed over Liang Yan? You want to catch me within 10 days? Do you still think I'm a pushover? I, Su Yan, am in the 10,000 races battlefield. Why should I fear you Xian people? Let's see who will be the one suffering losses. Let's go. Su Yan suppressed the anger in his heart and quietly withdrew from this area. He didn't choose to make a move and forcefully restrained himself. The atmosphere in the 10,000 races battlefield was stifling. The battle of the 10,000 was about to begin. Time was of the essence. Some of the major regions had already begun to become restless. It was likely that the battle would begin in advance. There were only 10,000 places available. There were too many wolves and too little meat. When the time came, only God knew how many experts would rush out to fight for supremacy. On this day, a lot of disturbances arose in some ancient cities. The Xian people held an auction in the third city and issued a list of treasures. Everyone was in an uproar because the finale wasn't a treasure but a woman. Who's this woman? She's the finale? The experts were stunned. They felt that something was amiss. What was the Xian people's motive for holding an auction at this juncture? Soon, the news spread like wildfire and caused a huge commotion. The Xian people spread rumors that this woman is from the celestial court. She's even related to the monarch ranking that was left alone many years ago. What? She's also related to that Su Yan? What are the Xian people doing? They're auctioning a woman from the celestial court. Could this woman be Some people thought of the remaining members of the celestial court in Danzong. However, the Xian people didn't give any response. They only made it clear that this woman was related to Su Yan. They were no strangers to Su Yan. He was once left alone on the monarch ranking. Everyone in the undying heavenly domain knew about him. I think something big is going to happen. Many people were terrified. Who would dare to participate in such an auction? Throwing a woman from the celestial court into the auction was extremely bad. No one expected the Xian people to use such a despicable method to deal with the celestial court. The whole world was shocked. People felt that this auction was targeted at Xia Kunlun and the young devil king. Some people also felt that the Xian people were going to wipe out the entire celestial court in one fell swoop. No matter who this woman was in the celestial court, it was a great humiliation to throw a member of their clan into the auction. Ha ha ha, my mysterious sky sect will definitely attend such an event. The celestial court that was destroyed millions of years ago still has a beautiful woman. I won't miss this event. The celestial court was so prosperous in the past. It's sad that it has fallen to such a state. The auction was in an uproar. Some clans announced that they would participate in the auction, such as the Underworld, the Mysterious Sky Sect, the Celestial Bamboo, and a series of other forces. A huge storm was about to break out. Chapter 1524. The 10,000 tribe battlefield was in a perilous situation. News kept spreading, and all kinds of news made the various clans uneasy. Had the Celestial Court, a force that had once been glorious, really come to an end? The Xian people had dominated the three major domains. The third major domain was supposed to be the place where the Xianming city of the Celestial Court would shine in the future. However, the Xianming city was destroyed by Xia Kunlun of the Celestial Court. Now that the Xian people were holding an auction in the third city, it was obvious who they were targeting. Many major events had happened during this period. Now that the Xian people were holding an auction, very few clans dared to respond. After all, the Celestial Court was backed by several super-wanted criminals. Even so, there was still an astonishing response. There was no doubt that the auction held by the Xian people in the third city had attracted all the opposing forces of the Celestial Court. The Xian people are a bit despicable. However, this is a great humiliation for the Celestial Court. The Xian people are too ruthless. Are they trying to wipe out the Celestial Court in one fell swoop? In my opinion, they are here for Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King. Xia Kunlun captured Xian Bailing of the Immortal Clan alive, and the young Devil King dealt an even greater blow to the Immortal Clan. Because of these two, the Immortal Clan's reputation has been swept to the ground. Although the Immortal Clan's methods are somewhat despicable, I have to say that this move of the Immortal Clan is too ruthless. Yes, they will die if they come. If they don't come, the remaining dignity of the Celestial Court will be gone. All the ancient cities were in an uproar. This news had spread throughout the 10,000 tribe battlefield. I thought that the Celestial Court was showing signs of revival. Now, it seems that even if they want to rise again, they have to ask the Xian people for permission. The Xian people's first supreme is challenging the young supremes of all clans, but he doesn't care about the Xian people in the third city. You can imagine how confident the Xian people are. Otherwise, Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King won't be easy to deal with. Maybe the Celestial Court has other masters. The whole world was in heated discussions. In short, people felt that the Xian people's third city would be bathed in blood. Its junior sister Yan. Bastard. The Xian people are too shameless. Within the Pill sect, the reaction was intense. Pill fire roared with bloodshot eyes. When has our Pill sect ever suffered such humiliation? Junior sister Yan may have the blood of the heavenly court flowing in her veins, but she's still a member of our Pill sect. I can't stand the immortals humiliating our Pill sect like this. Danzong. A group of people led by Don Huazhe lost control of their emotions. Liang Yan was being auctioned? This was a bloody trampling on the dignity of the Xian people. Shut up, all of you! At this moment, a majestic Danzong elder stood up and shouted, Liang Yan is indeed a member of the Danzong, but her first identity is the bloodline of the Celestial Court. The Xian people's goal is to lure out the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun. Anyway, you don't have to worry about this. The sect will make the decision. Making the decision means pushing Junior Sister into the fire pit? A woman yelled angrily, feeling indignant for Liang Yan. What else do you want to do now? Dan Huayu sneered. Attack the Xian people's third city? Are you going to throw your lives away? It's not that I don't mean to be rude, but you don't have the right to challenge the Xian people. That's still better than a coward like you. Danhua Zhe mocked. Dan Huayu said angrily. This matter has been going on for days, and the Celestial Court doesn't even dare to fart. What Xia Kunlun? What young Devil King? Do they have the guts to go to the third city to save someone? Dan Huayu reprimanded. Are you in a hurry to die? You're in a hurry to push the Danzong into the fire pit. Don't blame me for not reminding you. In the third city, the Xian people, the underworld, the wondrous heaven sect, and the heavenly bamboo lineage are enough to tear the Danzong apart. That last sentence caused all the disciples of the alchemy faction to fall silent. Just the number one paragon of the immortal tribe alone was enough to suppress the geniuses of the alchemy faction to the point where they couldn't even raise their heads. The Xian people's third city attracted a lot of attention. A large number of experts rushed over. Many of them had no intention of entering the city, but a few bolder ones entered the city to watch the ceremony nearby. In short, the third city was extremely lively. Experts from various factions gathered. It could be said that a storm had gathered. Although it was a rare event, the city was not calm. Killing intent leaked out continuously, and the coldness was bone-chilling. The entire city was silent. Do you think the saint will come here? A group of people from the sword sect came, including Jian Xiuxiu and the others. Their expressions were full of worry. Now that Fan Jian and Xia Kunlun were together, who knew what would happen? If Fan Jian joined the battle in such an occasion, it would be a big deal. Only God knows. Jian Jingshan smiled bitterly. Even if Fan Jian came, he would not make a big move. In short, no one knew what would happen next. The Xian people had no intention of interrogating any cultivators who entered or left the ancient city. They completely opened the city to everyone. Su Yan was here. He was very calm as he walked into the Xian people's third city. The city covered an area of 1,000,000 miles. The spiritual essence of heaven and earth was abundant in the city. The atmosphere was a little quiet on the streets, but there was an endless stream of people coming and going. Most of them wanted to see if the Celestial Court dared to send people here. There are more than 100 perfected immortals in the city. Fan Jian said telepathically, I wonder how many perfected immortals of the Xian people are here. This lineup is really shocking. Brother, you have to be careful. Fan Jian did not try to persuade Su Yan to leave. He knew Su Yan's temper very well. Once he came, he would not retreat even half a step. Su Yan's spiritual sense was shocking, and the probing power of his primordial spirit was shocking. Divine light continuously shot out from his eyes, and the densely packed living beings in the entire city appeared under his eyelids. Su Yan was not worried about how many Xian people there were, but how much control the Xian people had over the ancient city's protective array. Dong, dong, dong. At night, bells rang in the ancient city. Magnificent buildings shone. Several experts of the Xian people stood at the entrances to welcome guests with smiles on their faces. The immortals are too confident. They didn't check anyone and allowed the experts of the various races to enter the auction. Hee, you don't think the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun are brave enough to come here to participate in the auction, do you? Someone sneered. That's hard to say. With the young Devil King's temper, he might really dare to come. A group of experts stood around and talked among themselves. They had no intention of entering the auction. Of course, some people had already entered the auction. Now, many cultivators had arrived and entered the auction. Su Yen and the other two also stepped into the auction. The auction was not small. It could gather 100,000 people to participate in the auction. Welcome to the auction, my fellow cultivators. An old man with white hair and a beard appeared on the stage and said with a smile, "Let's start with the auction of a great divine ability. I'm sure everyone knows the rules of the auction, so I won't introduce it any further. Let's begin the auction." The celestial race's preparations were quite decent. They took out some rare treasures to auction. There were limited bidders. Someone with limited patience shouted, "I say, don't keep us guessing. I want to see what the women of the celestial court look like. Take them out and start the auction." "Haha, my fellow cultivator, don't be impatient. The finale will be here soon," the old man of the Sien people said with a smile. "How can I not be impatient?" The expert of the underworld branch stood up and said with a smile, "The celestial court was prosperous 1,000,000 years ago. How many of their ordinary women would marry into the immortal celestial domain, let alone the outstanding ones?" "My fellow cultivator, you're right." A handsome man of the wondrous heavens sect stood up and smiled elegantly. The celestial court was very arrogant in the past. However, every dog has its day. The celestial court is no longer the same. In my opinion, we should kill all the men of the clan. As for the women, they can be kept for us to enjoy. Ha 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 ha. The entire auction hall was filled with laughter. The cultivators gathered here all let out sinister laughter. It could be said that they were completely unscrupulous. Watch your words. Suddenly, a man in green clothes stood up and looked at the auction hall coldly. His face was full of majesty. "Who are you?" The atmosphere in the auction hall instantly turned cold. Murderous intent leaked out. They all stared at the man in green clothes maliciously. Some people even took out their weapons. If he was the young demon king, they would have killed him immediately. "How dare you?" The man in green clothes was slightly angry. He shouted coldly, "I'm representing the Tongtian young master to participate in the auction. Is there a problem?" Someone from the Sien people immediately stood up to testify. He was the follower of the Tongtian young master, and it caused a lot of commotion. Some cultivators who had spoken rudely earlier stood up to apologize. "What a grand show!" Fan Jian snorted. He was just a follower, but he could control the situation. It had to be said that the Tongtian young master was famous. Even though he was just a follower, the disciples of the major immortal sects gave him face. "Humph." The man in green clothes did not say anything. He only snorted and sat down. "Next, let's start the bidding for the celestial court woman." A faint voice spread throughout the auction hall. The atmosphere in the auction hall was extremely heated. Many people stood up and stared at the stage with their eyes wide open. Swoosh! On the stage, a woman appeared. She was wearing a sky-blue dress, which made her look dignified and beautiful. Immediately, she attracted a lot of praises. Their eyes were burning. Although her appearance couldn't be considered good, her temperament was really excellent. The experts from the underworld looked sinister. Their eyes were like knives as they stared at Liang Yan from head to toe. Without a doubt, he was very satisfied. If he had a woman from the celestial court by his side, it would be very dignified. Liang Yan was frightened and flustered. She was pitiful and helpless. She stood there, but more than that, she was ashamed and angry. Zhu Xing looked at Su Yen, worried that he would lose his composure. Su Yen was very calm. He sat quietly and looked at her, thinking of many things in the past. Su Yen was relieved that Liang Yan was fine. The man in green clothes who represented the Tongtian young master to participate in the auction stood up and said with a smile, "The young master has always liked beautiful women. Although this woman's appearance is slightly inferior, her temperament is excellent. She is suitable to be the young master's maid. As soon as he said that, the auction hall was in an uproar. Although they were afraid of the Tongtian young master's reputation, they did not want to miss this woman from the celestial court. Chapter 1525. I bid 10,000 kilograms of immortal Dao stones, the expert from the underworld faction said. He kept staring at Liang Yan and smiled sinisterly. Such a beauty. I can't wait to get close to her. Ha! I bid 13,000 kilograms of immortal Dao stones, the young man from the odd sky sect said. He liked young beauties, and he couldn't wait to buy this beauty from the celestial court. Although the Skirich young master was very famous, how could the underworld be afraid of him? They all began to bid, wanting to buy Liang Yan. On the stage, Liang Yan was terrified and uneasy. Everyone's eyes were like knives, making her more and more afraid. Her heart was filled with humiliation, and endless humiliation. Some women below the stage jeered. There was no pity in their eyes, and they were smiling proudly. This was especially true for the immortals. They had lost a lot of face in the past few days. Now that they saw Liang Yan placed on the stage as an item to be auctioned, they were in a very good mood. They could not help but burst into laughter. 30,000 kilograms of immortal Dao stones. The attendant representing the Tongtian young master stood up and said coldly, "The servant of the Tongtian young master is mine. There's no reason we can't get her. Fellow cultivators, if you have the money, please raise the price. I'll accompany you to the end." Bastard. The experts from the underworld faction didn't look good. 30,000 kilograms of immortal Dao stones was already a big fortune. Although they could afford it, if they raised the price, the Tongtian young master would be unhappy. Suddenly, the scene on the stage changed drastically. A man who was as bright as the sun appeared. He walked with majestic steps, and his body flowed with brilliant light. He stood on the stage. Although there wasn't much of his aura leaking out, anyone could tell that there was a red ocean inside this man's body. It was surging violently, filling up the entire auction venue. Danyang Shu, why is he here? Is this woman really a disciple of the Danzong? The auction hall was filled with discussions. This was a famous young expert from Danzong, Danyang Shu. He was quite famous. Even though Danzong specialized in alchemy, Dan Yangshu was also considered to be one of the top 100 experts in the future monarch rankings because he possessed the Samadhi true fire. Needless to say, the power of this flame was one of the strongest flames in the cultivation world. Dan Yangshu was the #1 cultivator in Danzong, and it was not an exaggeration to call him the saint. Fellow Taoist, please go back and tell young Master Tongtian that the disciples of Danzong are not for him to buy. Danyang Shu's words were calm, but they carried a great majesty. He had the bearing of a great sex saint child, and he was able to shake people's souls. What do you mean? The azure-robed man's face darkened slightly. However, Danyang Shu was no ordinary person. He had a noble status and represented the entire Danzong. Thus, the azure-robed man did not dare to be too rude. Dan Yangshu's tone was calm, but his aura wasn't. A blazing aura that could burn the sky leaked out, making him look like a sovereign of fire. He said coldly, "Liang Yan has joined the alchemy sect. Isn't that clear enough?" How domineering! Fan Jian was stunned. He was really surprised that Danyang Shu could come and even stand on the stage. After all, he was the future saint of Danzong. He was qualified to represent the entire Danzong. His words carried a lot of weight. The Xian people probably did not want to become enemies with Danzong. Otherwise, they would not have allowed Danyang Shu to stand here. What do you Xian people mean by this? I need someone to talk to. Are you messing with us? You said you were going to auction a woman from the celestial court. Why did you come here? What do you take us for? The whole place was in an uproar. Many people's faces turned ugly. They felt that they had been fooled. Boom. All of a sudden, All the doors of the auction hall were shut tight. This scene made the atmosphere in the ancient city turn cold. The whole auction hall was sealed inside and out. Everyone wanted to know what was going on inside. "Is the young Devil King really here?" someone said with a trembling voice. "If he really came, it would be a dead end. Is it necessary to protect the dignity of the celestial court at the cost of his own life?" Someone murmured. They did not know much about the young Devil King, but if he really dared to come, they would really admire him. Even more so, as the auction hall was sealed. After the seal was activated, the huge ancient city quickly entered a state of alert. The Cien people's army sealed the space in all directions. The Cien people's array masters also controlled the protective array in the ancient city to prevent the remaining members of the celestial court from escaping. However, what the experts in the city did not realize was that the outside world was not quiet. Outside the East City Gate, a man with messy hair was walking over. Dong, dong, dong. Step by step, his aura gradually changed. Finally, he was like a martial god rising from the ground, emitting a cold, murderous aura as he rushed towards the East City Gate. Sister Yen and Big Brother are very close. If Big Brother is still alive, he will definitely stand up. Thousands of miles away from the South City Gate, a burly man with great strength rushed over. Tears rolled in his eyes as he growled, "I want to represent Big Brother. But they are going to fight." Boom. His aura skyrocketed, and thick evil dragons spurted out of his pores one after another. They surrounded him, raised their heads, and roared as they rushed towards the city gate. It was not only here. Shocking murderous auras bloomed at the 4 city gates, even forming some kind of resonance with each other. At this moment, they were very clear that their brothers were all here. They were entrenched outside the city gate, ready to launch a thunderous attack at any time. I will represent Su Yen and fight with them. At this moment, their hearts were filled with monstrous anger. The Cien people's 3rd city gate had an oppressive atmosphere. Anyone could sense that it was a bit restless outside the city. One after another, mighty lords with vigorous chi and blood like dragons were forcing their way over. Good, they are really here. I was afraid that they would not come. The Cien people gathered in the ancient city laughed angrily. Today we will wipe out the celestial court in one fell swoop. Ha! Kill everyone who comes and leave no one alive. The celestial court's good days are coming to an end. At the auction house, from all directions, a group of Cien people descended from the void. Their cold eyes scanned everyone who came to participate in the auction, trying to find the young Devil King, Xia Kunlun. Someone sneered and said, "Friends, please calm down. Since everyone is here, they must want to deal with the celestial court. A woman is nothing to them." That's right. I think the people of the celestial court are here, or in the 3rd city of our people. Maybe they are preparing to attack the 3rd city of our people. The 6 perfected immortals of the Cien people were entrenched in 4 directions. One of them, an old man in white, said coldly, "Wouldn't it be better to let them kneel here like dogs after we suppress them?" Like dogs? Fan Jian was furious. Su Yen was his big brother. Damn it, wasn't he a dog? Big brother, kill them! Fan Jian was eager. When he saw Su Yen, he found that he was staring at the white-robed perfected immortal, just like Zhu Xing. "I'm going to kill him, kill him!" Veins popped out all over Zhu Xing's body. His eyes were red. Because this white-robed perfected immortal was none other than the ancestral hall's patriarch. Zhu Xing wouldn't forget him even if he turned into ashes. However, Zhu Xing had never imagined that Patriarch Barricade would become a true immortal. Standing in the middle of the auction, he said coldly, "Kneeling before me like a dog? I don't care who he is. As long as he's from the heavenly court, he'll die a horrible death. Junior sister, let's go." At this time, Dan Yangshu gave Liang Yan a look. "Wait." The ancestral hall's patriarch stared at Liang Yan and said eerily, "You said she joined Danzong." Dan Yangshu, you want to take her away. The Xian people have no objection, but she must admit in front of the world that she will leave the celestial court forever. How dare you? Dan Yangshu was furious. Was he trying to pin Liang Yan on the pillar of shame for the rest of her life? We agree. The scene in the auction house changed drastically. The powerhouses of the underworld all stood up and stared coldly at Dan Yangshu. Oh no. Dan Yangshu's face was gloomy, but his heart was filled with endless shame. He roared in his mind, the Xian people are too much. If I were a perfected immortal, no one would dare to stand in my way. He was furious, but the current situation didn't allow him to use force. Senior brother, how can I accept the humiliation today? Even if I die, I won't let them get what they want. Liang Yan said angrily. Otherwise, how can I face the Taoist temple, my family, and him? Ah! The man in green laughed and said, Dan Yangshu, do you see that? She's from the celestial court. I think the Danzong shouldn't get involved. Let's start the auction again. He, the patriarch of the ancestral hall, laughed cruelly. You mean Su Yan, right? Looks like you're close to him. Unfortunately, he's already dead, buried in the darkness. What a joke. He wanted to kill me back then. What a pity. Ha ha ha, I'm still alive, but he's already dead. You're the one who's funny. Liang Yan glared at the patriarch of the ancestral hall. What right do you have to mention him? What right do you have to slander him? You were the one who ran for your life back then. You have no right at all. Bastard, you bitch. Why is the Danzong still protecting her? This woman wants to kill the Xian people. She must stay here forever. The patriarch of the ancestral hall was furious. He raised his hand and was about to slap Liang Yan. How dare you? Dan Yangshu was furious. He raised his hand and tried to stop the patriarch of the ancestral hall. But someone was faster than him, so fast that he couldn't react in time. He saw a big hand grab the patriarch of the ancestral hall's arm. Dan Yangshu's pupils shrank. Did the young devil king and Xia Kunlun really come? Old man, you're really tough. A cold voice exploded in the auction hall. From this moment on, all the heroes in the hall stared at a man with a blurry figure. He strode over and grabbed the patriarch of the ancestral hall by the arm. His entire body was trembling. His arm had been crushed, and his bones were beginning to shatter one by one. He let out a shrill roar in pain. Quickly suppress him. Boom. Thousands of killing lights surged out of the sealed auction hall. The Xian people were already prepared. They had a hunch that the young devil king and Xia Kunlun would appear. Now, all the Xian people's experts in the hall erupted and pounced on Su Yan. I hope he's the young devil king and not Xia Kunlun. No matter who he is, since he's here, he must die. After a brief moment of glory, a large number of Xian people's experts came. They were all very confident. There was no suspense in this battle. No matter who came, in the heavily guarded third city of the Xian people, they would die. Boom. Energy exploded in the sky. The whole auction hall was about to be devoured. The experts who attacked were very decisive. They stood in their peak state and attacked Su Yan with lightning speed. You're not qualified to suppress me in a killing trap. Su Yan let out a low roar, and his aura completely changed. The moment his body and puppet merged, he became extremely terrifying. It was as if a peerless true immortal had come into being. He emitted an unparalleled energy fluctuation that swept through the entire auction venue. Crack! The energy field in the sky collapsed at the same time. What kind of killer weapon did he use? Dan Yangshu's expression changed. This aura was too terrifying. It was like the eruption of a peerless immortal demon. What kind of killer weapon did he use? No, one by one, the Xian people were terrified. Who was this person? He was like an immortal demon in the sky. They knew that Su Yan had the puppet, but they didn't know that he, in the state of a void immortal, could unleash the super combat power of the puppet, which was equivalent to a level 6 true immortal. They were scared out of their wits. Their bodies trembled and their perfected immortal bodies were crushed into a pile of mud. Even the sealed auction hall was affected by Su Yan's awakening aura. In the end, the auction hall collapsed. Boom! The auction hall exploded. One after another, energy waves pierced through the sky. It was extremely terrifying. The entire ancient city shook violently. Su Yan was like an immortal demon. His energy swallowed the sea of stars and shook the universe. You all deserve to die for insulting the celestial court, Su Yan shouted. His eyes were burning with killing intent. Chapter 1526. His majestic appearance, cold eyes, and terrifying aura were breathtaking. He was like a celestial demon in the sky. The aura he emitted forcefully collapsed the entire auction hall, tearing the sky apart and creating a thunderous sound. Boom! The Xian people's third city shook violently, unable to withstand Su Yan's aura. In the end, it formed a vast storm and whistled out from his body. Everyone was terrified. How terrifying was this magical power? It was as if a true immortal giant dragon was erupting. This was Su Yan, who had merged with the human-shaped puppet, at the peak of his power. It's him. He really made a move. Is it the young Devil King or Xia Kunlun? How terrifying! What kind of puppet did he merge with? His combat power is too shocking. Outside the 10,000 tribes battlefield, there was also an uproar. Even the major immortal sects and orthodoxies were paying attention to the Xian people's third city. They had a feeling that this battle might attract a large number of Ingjia from the celestial court. Xian people, you all deserve to die. Su Yan let out a loud roar. His eyes were blazing, the galaxy was vast, and the sun and moon were wailing. The auction hall exploded, and blood gushed out endlessly. A large number of Xian people's Ingjia were smashed into pieces and exploded into bloody light. Crazy! The spectators outside the ancient city were horrified. What kind of combat power was this? The roar shook the entire city. His domineering aura was boundless and terrifying. So powerful. Danyang Shu was silent. In this area, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Ghosts cried and gods howled. Blood spurted out. Groups of Xian people cultivators died suddenly. The extraordinary combat strength that Su Yan had displayed had somewhat exceeded the extent of his understanding. What kind of puppet was this? Why did it give him such powerful combat power? Immediately after, Su Yan's aura grew rapidly. In the end, it swallowed the sky, the earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars. It flowed with the power of the celestial demon, illuminating the entire region. Liang Yan's delicate body trembled. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. Although Su Yan's aura had changed greatly compared to 10 years ago, Liang Yan could still feel the familiar aura. No. The powerhouse from the underworld shouted in despair. He had originally come to participate in the auction, but now he had encountered Su Yan's thunderous fury. In his spiritual world, there was only a fist that had enlarged and was about to attack him. Pooh! The underworld expert's head was crushed by a single punch, and his entire body exploded. He was terrifying, shocking the world. Thick blood vitality gushed out from his pores, evolving into the power of calamity. It suppressed the entire shattered auction venue and began a trial of death against everyone present. No, you Demon King, stop. I'm just here to participate in the auction. I have no other intentions. They cried out miserably and begged for mercy. Their hearts were filled with regret. Why did they participate in the auction? Why did they provoke this madman? To Su Yan, any expert who came to participate in the auction was treated as an enemy. No matter where they came from, they had to be killed. You all deserve to die for insulting the celestial court. Kill! Another loud roar rang out, like a thunderclap from the ninth heaven, ear-splitting. Groups of experts in front of him trembled like sand. In the end, their bodies were shattered and exploded into bloody light. Those who were still alive were terrified. Who was this person? How could an immortal or a demon be so powerful in such a realm? What kind of puppet did he have? Su Yen had fused with the most powerful puppet. Although it was impossible for him to unleash the puppet's strongest power, with his current primordial spirit state, it was enough to push his combat power to a violent state. With such combat power, who could compete with him? All the creatures in the ancient city trembled. Everything happened too quickly, and the scene was extremely bloody. The Xian people's experts at the 4 city gates could go to help, but Su Yan's actions were too fast and too crazy. He was completely a blood sacrifice without any mercy. Do you know who I am? The subordinate of the Tongtian young master was also targeted. He roared angrily, "If you want to die, disappear from my sight immediately. Disappear." As soon as he said that, he regretted it. But there was no medicine for regret in this world. His whole body was under Su Yan's foot. "No!" the green-clothed man cried out. However, Su Yan did not even glance at him from the beginning until the end. It was like an ant facing a dragon. The pride in his heart was completely trampled, leaving behind only fear. Only when Su Yan stomped on his body until it exploded did the green-clothed man recover from his despair and roar in a low voice, "Young master, take revenge for me. Take revenge. Quick, stop him for me." The Xian people's 3rd city was rioting. The Xian people's army was coming, and a large number of perfected immortals were also charging at the city gates. However, what terrified everyone was that in some of the streets of the Xian people's 3rd city, some of the streets were filled with killing intent and heads were flying everywhere. Kill. The entire ancient city was in complete chaos. Fan Jian and Zhu Xing controlled the perfected immortal puppets and started a massacre in some of the streets, luring away a large number of Xian people's powerhouses and reducing the pressure on Su Yan. The most eye-catching one was the Long Day Song. It spat out true samadhi fire and charged forward. Wherever the giant horse passed, the whole street trembled. It was like an invincible beast, charging savagely in the ancient city. "Young Fiend King!" some people exclaimed when they saw the young man in black with the replica of the immortal slaying sword on his back walk out. He merged with the perfected immortal puppet and charged into the Xian people's army, starting a bloody massacre. Xia Kunlun, Young Fiend King, and 2 other powerhouses with puppets. There's even a terrifying beast. I didn't expect 5 powerhouses to come, and all of them have the combat power of a perfected immortal. Are they crazy? The Xian people's 3rd city has been sealed. The Xian people have set up an ambush here. Who can resist them? In the Xian people's 3rd city, powerhouses of the 6th sky of perfected, immortal realm appeared. Each of them was like an immortal dragon, powerful beyond compare. They looked down at the powerhouses of the celestial court and smiled cruelly. "You're finally here. However, no matter how many of you come, you'll all die here. The Xian people's 3rd city has been sealed. Hee, the remnants of the celestial court, you're finished. None of you will survive. Kill them, and remember to leave them alive." In the Xian people's 3rd city, the energy waves were extremely violent. It affected the whole region. Outside the ancient city, many heroes were gathered to watch the battle. They had mixed feelings. Was the celestial court finished? After all, the celestial court's lineup was too big. They had set up an ambush in the ancient city. It was like a tiger's den. Who could survive such a situation? Even the 4 city gates had been sealed. "It's you. It's definitely you." In the auction hall, corpses were everywhere. The patriarch of the ancestral hall was terrified. He had killed everyone except for himself. Finally, when Su Yan walked towards him, the strong killing intent, the cold aura, and even the familiar aura of life scared the patriarch of the ancestral hall. He pointed at him and screamed, "It's you. You're still alive." He found it hard to believe. How could Su Yen still be alive? Bam! Su Yen stepped on his chest and looked down at him. He said coldly, "I'm still alive. You're surprised, aren't you?" The old ancestor of the ancestral hall was filled with cold air. He was frightened. Xia Kunlun was actually Su Yen. He had actually become a peak void immortal. How many years had it been? How did he escape from the darkness? Crack! Then, the patriarch of the ancestral hall's chest collapsed. The destructive aura was about to devour his life. He was in despair and screamed, "You're still alive. What a joke. But can you escape from the Xian people's third city? You'll die too." "Who said I'm leaving?" Su Yen said coldly, "This is the place where I'll take the strongest seat." "You lunatic. You're too delusional." The patriarch of the ancestral hall laughed. "You want to take down the Xian people's third city? Who do you think you are? Don't worry, I won't kill you now. Wouldn't it be better if I let Zhu Xing from the ancestral hall kill you?" Su Yan's voice was like a demon. The patriarch of the ancestral hall's eyes darkened. He was really afraid of Su Yan. Back in Xian Huang universe, all kinds of impossible things had become possible. Stop! Rolling thunder sounded. A large number of Xian people experts rushed over. Along the way, they gathered their energy and formed a powerful immortal Tao order to stop Su Yen from killing the patriarch of the ancestral hall. They knew very well that this was the old servant of the Xian people's first supreme. If Su Yen killed him, it would be a big deal. "Don't worry, I won't kill you. I'll keep you alive and let you see how I take down this ancient city." Su Yen stretched out his palm and cut off the patriarch's head, leaving his primordial spirit intact. Su Yen didn't choose to kill him. He wanted to let him live and open his eyes to see how a dead person could sweep through the Xian people's third city. "You're about to die and you still dare to commit murder? Hand over your life." In the Xian people's third city, the murderous intent toward Su Yen was surging. One had to know that there were 3/6 heavenly layer true immortals among them. Together with a group of Xian people experts, the energy fluctuations were so vast that it drowned the entire space-time. Boom! The turbulent waves were even more vast than the ocean, and they fell from the sky just like that. The people of the world were dumbfounded. Who could match such a powerful immortal Tao ocean? The immortal Tao order in the sky burned fiercely. Billions of runes appeared, sealing off the heaven and earth. Xia Kunlun is finished. The young Devil King is back, but it's useless. Even if they can hold on for a while, the Xian people's third city has already been sealed. No one can escape. I'm afraid this situation will bury the Celestial Court's elites. However, the experts watching the battle nervously in the ancient city didn't notice that there were experts rushing over from the 4 city gates to attack the Xian people's third city. Now, a large number of experts were rushing toward the young Devil King, so the number of guards at the 4 city gates was limited. Are Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King going to die? The surging immortal Tao ocean continued, drowning the two figures. Everything became blurry and indistinct. It was as if everything had been shattered. "Look, there's someone inside." Someone cried out in alarm, realizing that something was wrong. At first, the immortal Tao ocean was wantonly sweeping through the sky, gradually suppressing the two of them. However, the instant the third figure appeared, the 3 great figures formed a terrifying resonance, merging with the immortal Tao puppet at the same time. In a short period of time, it was as if they turned into 3 immortal Tao sons. Moreover, they operated the sword body technique at the same time. "Open for me." The 3 great figures reversed their fighting strength. The energy they released seemed to merge together. Their pores also released thick sword radiance, the sword cutting through the starry sky. Boom! The energy ocean that covered the sky exploded. Surging sword radiance overflowed into the heavens, shaking one's soul. The Celestial Court's 3 kings have all come. The entire city was in an uproar. The 3 kings moved through the sky, controlling the immortal Tao puppet at the same time. Heaven and earth trembled chaotically like paper, the terrifying aura that pervaded the air making the enemies go weak and fall to the ground. Chapter 1527. Peak Void Immortals were rare to begin with. Any one of them had the qualifications to be ranked among the top 10,000 on the Emperor board. Now, the three kings of the celestial court appeared in the sky. Their majestic aura was intimidating. Their cold eyes shone with sword radiance. The three kings moved as one. Their movements were as if they were one. They brought with them an earth-shattering aura. Everyone was stunned and silent. They knew that the three Void Immortals had created quite a storm in the celestial bamboos territory. However, according to their intelligence, the three Void Immortals were definitely not that strong. Now, their auras were almost the same. They could be called three peak Void Immortals. What kind of combination was this? Moreover, each of them had an immortal Tao realm puppet. This scene shocked everyone. "We must get rid of them," Xian Tyran roared. He never thought that the three kings of the celestial court would appear. What was this? The Xian people had existed since ancient times. They also had young paragons. However, the celestial court, which had been destroyed for 1,000,000 years, actually produced peak Void Immortals. This was a huge blow to the Xian people. Although they knew that none of the Xian people's young paragons could compete with them, the three kings of the celestial court were the three kings of the celestial court. Once the three kings of the celestial court matured in the future, the consequences would be unimaginable. The celestial court might produce several super-wanted criminals. This battle was the focus of everyone's attention. Many people were looking forward to it, hoping that the celestial court could break out of this situation. After 1,000,000 years, whether this group of people could rise again would depend on the heights of the younger generation. The Xian people's third city. Killing intent filled the air. Kill! Battle cries shook the sky. The battle was more terrifying than expected. The Xian people had set up a huge ambush here. Now, large batches of them were rushing over like a vast blood-colored flood. They swept over and wanted to slaughter the three kings of the celestial court. Su Yan's qi condensing three pure ones. Was it as simple as a clone? In fact, once the qi condensing three pure ones was activated, the three powerful auras resonated and seemed to combine together. Waves of divine power that made people's hearts tremble flowed out violently. Su Yan's three figures glowed at the same time. Blazing flames surged. He rushed into the enemy's army like three supreme murderous weapons leaving their sheaths. His sword radiance was tens of thousands of times, blazing to the heavens. What a terrifying sword qi! This is a supreme inheritance of the sword Tao. The spectators in the distant world were all stunned. What kind of absolute art was this? The three great experts operated sword body techniques at the same time, attacking forward, sharp and incisive. Powerful divine weapons, sturdy true immortal bodies, they all exploded upon contact, difficult to match. Boom! Divine light exploded in the sky as the three streaks of sword energy cleaved apart the energy storm that was pressing towards them. The blazing and sharp sword beams were about to decapitate the group of heroes. Roar! The third city was in chaos, and even more people were drawn into the chaos. As a group of true immortals joined the battlefield, the energy storm became even more ferocious. Boom! The energy tide that filled the sky drowned out everything. This was too terrifying. The entire third city was trembling, and a terrifying aura seeped out, causing the spectators in the outside world to tremble. How terrifying! Everyone felt a headache coming on. There were too many people participating. Who could match them all? Even the three heaven-defying kings were clearly being suppressed. Their figures seemed to have dimmed. Was this the end? Who could survive the attack of the celestial court's massive army? Sword body technique, Su Yan let out a long howl. His entire flesh shell suddenly enlarged infinitely, as if the universe was howling. What kind of secret art is this? Fan Jian was stunned. He realized that the sword radiance gushing out of the three Su Yan's pores had become even more dazzling. It carried with it the primordial force that could reconstruct the universe, strengthening the divine might of the sword body technique. As a result, its offensive power was unparalleled. The three Su Yan's bodies were so dazzling that they were about to explode. Similarly, this brought great fear to the enemy. The sword radiance was like an ocean, tearing apart the energy tide that was descending from the sky. It caused the heavens and earth to explode, and the stars in the sky were about to fall. Ah, no. A large number of Xian people were terrified, but they were powerless to resist. The sword radiance tore apart the energy tide, attacking the enemy and harvesting them. Yes, it's the primordial force. Fan Jian was silent. Su Yan had mastered the one qi into three pure ones and the primordial force, two of the most powerful supernatural powers in history. Moreover, the primordial force could strengthen the power of all supernatural powers. Without a doubt, under the strengthening of the primordial force, the sword physique technique was blazing and overflowing, causing Su Yan's three great treasured bodies to be on the verge of exploding. One could imagine exactly what level Su Yan had pushed it to. A large number of Xian people's cultivators were cleaved apart. Even if they were wearing armor, they were torn in half in a single blow. Kill! Su Yan was bathed in blood. His hair danced wildly, and his eyes were like lightning. He unleashed the secret art of robbery, the sword body technique erupted, and the primordial force filled the sky. The three Su Yan's aura soared to the heavens. It even formed a blood-red sword sea and a huge whirlpool. It rapidly expanded in the third city of the Xian people. It was about to engulf the entire city. Wu, a corner of the universe was boiling. Bright red blood bloomed and dyed the starry sky red. Is he going to sacrifice the entire city? Everyone trembled. The three kings had gone crazy, and their battle had shocked the world. No one had expected that he could unleash such powerful combat power. The entire sky was covered in blood light. Sword light fell, and the trial of death began. Boom! Suddenly, a thick and rolling immortal aura bloomed. Among the crowd, several sixth firmament true immortals were resurrected. It had to be said that the aura of these old guys was quite terrifying. They carried great divine might, and even the experts entrenched outside the city trembled. After all, their cultivation level was too high. Once they unleashed their power, their magic power was more than 10 times that of an ordinary true immortal. What kind of domineering power was this? The three six firmament true immortals attacked, forming seals and attacking. The sword light that filled the sky was torn apart. The three seals were unstoppable, and the three figures trembled slightly. Blood flowed from the corner of Su Yan's mouth. Sixth firmament true immortals were indeed ridiculously powerful. They were not comparable to ordinary true immortals. With Su Yan's magic power leaking, it was difficult for him to suppress the sixth firmament true immortals. Big brother, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you killing them? Fan Jian knew very well that Su Yan had spent 50,000 kilograms of immortal path stones and purchased a huge amount of imperishable precious materials. His three incarnations had worked tirelessly to refine a corner of the heaven-destroying sword formation. Once this formation was set up, it would definitely kill immortals and gods. It could definitely turn the entire ancient city into hell. He believed that even sixth firmament true immortals would not be able to escape. He's done for. Kill him. What three kings? Since they chose to come to the third city, they're here to die. The three sixth firmament true immortals sneered. They used their own energy to block Su Yan's Abhijna art. Together, they closed in on the three kings. Behind them, the Xian people's army was also following them. The battle was intense. It was a bloody battle between gods and demons. This was a chaotic battle. The entire ancient city's battlefield was blazing. The people could not see the battle clearly. In any case, the battle had gone crazy. The Xian people's army was coming, and they wanted to kill them all in one go. Boom, 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 all of a sudden, loud explosions rang out one after another. The sound was loud and deafening. The cultivators in the city were stunned. Soon, they saw the East City Gate explode. A large number of experts guarding the gate were sent flying. Who is it? Are there reinforcements? What a strong martial path aura! Fan Jian exclaimed. Soon, he saw a man with messy hair. He was tall and had bronze-colored skin. He exuded a strong martial path aura. A huge figure appeared behind him. He was like a god of war looking down on the world. His expression was cold. He charged in from the gate with a blood-stained spear in his hand. It was terrifying. Kill! He roared. His aura was completely different. He was like a fiend god from hell. His roar shook the heavens. His martial path aura covered the sky. He was extremely fast. He charged forward, and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Ah! A large number of cultivators were sent flying. Because it was too sudden, he also stirred up a fierce storm. The moment the figure behind him came back to life, his aura suppressed the world. He was overbearing. Oh no, they have reinforcements. Quick, seal the city gate. Don't let them escape. Quick! The Xian people's army roared. The city gate was breached. It was completely beyond their expectations. But just as a large number of experts rushed to the city gate, the south city gate suddenly rumbled. The huge city gate caved in, and some areas collapsed. A pair of blood-stained fists exuded the aura of an evil dragon. Roar! It was like an ancient dragon roaring. The two blood-stained fists blasted the entire city gate. What kind of existence was this? Was he the reincarnation of an ancient evil dragon? He was not a void immortal at all, but his chi and blood were too vigorous. It was obvious that he had activated a shocking secret art. His entire body was burning like a furnace. His billowing chi and blood pierced through the sky. I'm coming! Dali roared, and the evil dragon coiled around his body. His strength was boundless, and everyone was terrified. He was as wild as a desolate war god. He roared, "Immortal grandsons, eat Grandpa's fist!" He was extremely wild. He waved his iron fist. The evil dragon coiled around his body and roared into the sky. Suddenly, people saw 81 blood-red evil dragons leap from his back. Then, they roared out from the top of his head and turned into a heavenly dragon, looking down on the world. The heavenly dragon art, the ultimate technique of the strength sect, someone outside the city exclaimed. This was a supreme body-refining art. It was extremely difficult to cultivate, and the requirements were extremely strict. Boom! But once it was cultivated, one would have immense strength. This was a shocking heavenly art that specialized in the god-fiend body-refining lineage. Just by relying on his divine strength, he could look down on his peers. The entire battlefield was in chaos. 2 of the city gates had been breached. Even the other 2 gates were attacked by lightning. The city gates were about to explode. The experts guarding the city gates were still struggling to hold on. Although the ancient city was protected by a formation, it could not withstand a prolonged attack. Ha ha! Ha ha! Su Yen looked up to the sky and laughed. His blazing eyes were fixed on Yuan and Luodali. He was laughing. His eyes were brimming with tears, and his blood was boiling. The aura released by the 3 figures suddenly became brilliant. Once again, they formed an invincible world of swords and killed a large number of experts. Without a doubt, they were here. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying danger attacked. It was as if an invisible hand had extended into Su Yan's sea of consciousness and wanted to destroy his soul. Su Yan's expression was normal. His primordial spirit bloomed, as if he was standing in the future. He unleashed a shocking attack and destroyed the soul attack that invaded his sea of consciousness. Interesting. A white-robed youth walked out. Although he looked to be only 17 or 18 years old, he was filled with the vicissitudes of life. He walked leisurely in the ancient city that was littered with corpses. He was unimpeded. His aura was calm. His hands were behind his back. His long black hair draped over his shoulders. His aura was extraordinary. It was even more shocking than the young Fanjian. It was difficult to compare the two of them. You guys go and guard the city gates. Leave the three of them to me. He spoke with a dignified tone that left no room for doubt. Patriarch, you're not fit to use force. Although the situation is unexpected, I believe we can hold our ground. The Xian people had a 6th-level true immortal. They could still call for reinforcements. The white-robed youth did not reply. However, his deep eyes shone with a black radiance that darkened the heavens and the earth. His eyes were too strange. They seemed to want to devour all life in the universe. Heavens, that's the heavenly eye of darkness. Where did this youth come from? Unbelievable. The Xian people had a heavenly eye of darkness in the past. But that was too long ago. That's not right. Look at this young man. He looks a little familiar. Could he be? The onlookers were shocked. They felt a headache coming on. They were frightened by his aura. What? Patriarch Xian Jun has made his move. Xian Tyran was shocked, but he was also pleasantly surprised. This made things easier. With him here, no matter how many people from the celestial court came, they would not be able to escape their doom. Even Xian Tyran addressed him as Patriarch. One could only imagine how terrifying this white-robed youth's background was. Big brother, this is bad. Fan Jian transmitted his voice. This person seems to be the junior brother of the Xian people's sect master. You must be careful. Don't be careless. Su Yen was shocked. The sect master's junior brother? This identity and status were quite frightening among the Xian people. This meant that he was the personal disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. What kind of existence was this? It was unimaginable. Under his orders, a large group of experts rushed to the 4 city gates. The Xian people's goal today was to suppress the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun. They did not care about anything else. Since Patriarch Xian Jun had made his move, there was no suspense. Xian Jun came. He closed in on Su Yen step by step. At the same time, he said calmly, "My race has been glorious for 1,000,000 years. We have never suffered such a great loss." "Old man," Su Yen shouted, "what are you talking about? Do you want a one-on-one or a group fight?" Xian Jun's eyes were cold. He said coldly, "I must get the 9 continents' heaven cauldrons. The 3 of you can come at me together." "Old man, you really won't stop until you shock me to death." Su Yen pulled out the immortal slaying sword replica and said coldly, "I wanted the 3 of us to beat you up. Since you are so arrogant, I will kill you alone. I will send you on your way." Xian Jun's words were simple, but they contained great courage. His pitch-black pupils were like a condensed dark universe rushing out. Boom! The boundless sky darkened. His entire being seemed especially terrifying, as if he was a god that ruled over the darkness. Is the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor so great? Today, I will kill you to boost my courage. Su Yen did not hesitate and rushed forward. This was the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. He must have killed himself to enter the battlefield. If he could kill him, it would also indicate the demise of a big shot of the Xian people. Dezhang, great emperors, urgently need monthly votes to summon all brothers to the stage.